Hey everyone, Isaac here, and welcome back to FrostCast Episode 3, the coldest, the chillest, and possibly the most philosophicalist War Machine podcast out there. I am back here with Ross.
Hey everybody.
And we have two special guests, maybe three. If he pops in later, we will see. It is a surprise for our viewers. We're here with Kyle from Arcane Precision and Ryan from BlightBringers. Say hello.
Hello there.
Hi, happy to be here.
Yep, happy to have you guys here. So what are we here for today? We're here for some fun things.
I heard something's dropping or something. I don't know what though.
Perhaps.
Mayhaps? We are here to talk about primarily the Steamroller 25 packet.
And snap!
I know, right? Crazy. We didn't do a podcast when the rules updated, but everyone else who's smarter than us did that, and I was like, I'm not doing that again. I don't need to double down on that.
Same.
I did that, and we got almost 3 hours in and didn't finish it. So
yeah, you guys went in depth. It was awesome. It was very awesome. If you haven't listened to that, go check that out, everybody.
It took so much time. It took so long.
I guess it's a good thing you don't edit.
Yeah, it's true. I really don't. It's too much work.
Nah, editing is no need. But yeah, Steamroller 2025. I haven't read it too much because I've had a busy day between work and life, but I know some of you have read more than I have. What are your initial thoughts? Are we liking it? I know it looks very pretty.
So like the art on it is amazing, right? Like it looks so much more put together, I guess is probably the nicest way to put it. Not like the old ones didn't, but like this just looks more professional, I guess.
No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
100%. It just looks great.
Yeah. Otherwise, like hot takes from just like reading through it kind of quickly. The maps of like where everything is are just so much cleaner and easier to read, which is super nice. And I think a couple of the scenarios themselves are gonna be a little wild. I think that's the nice way to put it. Like there's gonna be some shenanigans that happen with these and make for some pretty interesting game states.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, this is going to be SFG's like first like official SR, so it's going to be really interesting to see how this pans out. I think a lot of these scenarios are going to be a lot of fun, though.
Absolutely. Wolf, I know you probably like dug into this the most. What do you think's your like biggest change, or what do you think's gonna be the biggest game changer, if you will, to this season, to the Steamroller this year?
So looking at it from like the going to a bunch of conventions perspective, all of the scenarios now go back to being symmetrical, which is just going to be nice from like a TO perspective, because it's going to be much easier to kind of plan things out, which is just going to make things easier. And some of the changes, I don't know if I necessarily like them, right? But I think they make it a little more interesting. So like the easy one to point out is like two fronts. It's the same as it was before. Instead of the cash, you just get a flag 23 inches up the field if you're going second. Which is fine, except for that can actually bounce 5 inches in any direction. And I think that's one where you go from like, oh man, I have to spread out super wide to get all of this, to like, if you get a piece of terrain in the right spot, you go from like, oh, I have to spread out super far to like, I can like token contest the 40s, move this flag 5 inches to the left, and put it in like a forest that also extends over a couple inches, and like now I can really easily kind of like push that side way nicer than it was before, where you kind of had to have something to like control the 30 that was in the middle, not cash, sorry. And like I think little things like that are going to make a big difference.
I also think that's going to be kind of fun, at least it can be depending on the army list, because some armies do not do well playing wide. But moving the flag, you can now like bunker down on one side and be like, I'm going to own this side. You can fight me on this side, or we're going to have to peace trade in the middle.
Yep. Or even just move it back so it goes from like, okay, it's 23 inches up from your opponent's side to now it's 18-ish. Like you get to move it back towards your own end. So if somebody has like extreme threat ranges, it's like, no, you have to actually dig deeper to get into this. Good luck.
Yep.
Yeah, like more in line with the 50 almost.
Yeah. I think the other thing is the way flags get scored and contested now. You have to be in the terrain that they're in, and there isn't something saying it can't be hazards anymore. So if you're
Ooh.
like a sludge thrall and you're you're like a sludge thrall and you're corrosion resistant, and there just happens to be an acid cloud there, like, man, it's gonna stand there all day and it doesn't affect me, but like anything you send into contest,
Those
It's gonna
new
start
I might
taking a
not
little
kill it right away. It's
damage.
gonna be
two-
corroded and it's gonna
the-
start taking that point.
the 2-player
You think
battle
that's
box
gonna be-
Godor are gonna look real fun when they're standing in a fire cloud.
Do you think that that's going to be more on tournament organizers to try to avoid things like that, where
Or
when
incorporate
they're
it.
organizing terrain, or do you think that's something they're going to kind of lean into? I don't know. I could see it both ways, honestly.
I mean, personal opinion, I hope they lean into it because I think that's kind of just a neat thing that it's like every other piece of terrain, right? Like some armies are going to be able to take advantage of it better than others. If you're, playing all the new Khador stuff and it's a fire forest, like, yeah, the hounds sit there all day, but like that doesn't mean that, well, because one or two units or a beast or whatever can take advantage of it, you shouldn't do it. It means, hey, when you're going between first and second turn now, that should be a thing you have to look at. Like, if I give them the side, this is going to be in a fire cloud, and that's going to be a pain for me. Maybe I have to actually take second here. Like, I think that's the kind of stuff that evens out that first turn, second turn split, and is going to make that more interesting. So I think shying away from it is a mistake.
And then leading into
Yeah.
if my thing would load, leading into like the team format and table setup and table picks, that's just gonna add even more dynamics to it.
Oh yeah. So the dynamics of like the German or WTC style is going to be super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just with the flags, if it's a piece of terrain you can enter, you have to be within it.
Mhm.
But it can still go to obstructions and stuff, and you just have to. It scores like it normally does now, where you have to be within 3.
3,
And
not 2.
contesting
Yep, contest within 3 as well.
Okay,
Yep,
so everything's the
and-
same now for that.
Yeah. Yep, and
Which is
then
also nice.
Mhm.
We don't have some things that are 2 and some things that are 3, and
Yep. I like it.
yep, and then for the contesting, you have to be within that as well. So if it's a one you can enter, you have to be in it.
I like that a lot.
So an interesting thing I noticed in the beginning: Killbox is now completely within 12.
Yep.
So you can't just tow and have like a part of your base outside of it.
Oh, so you have to be like outside of it, like fully.
Yep. So
Okay.
Kane has to be in
Yeah.
a little more danger than he typically is.
Good.
especially on like, again, you look at like wolves. You don't get, okay, the kill box keeps expanding. You don't get to just be like, I'll just kind of tow it and be. No, you have to be in there. So casters like Vilcool who just want to bully the table, man, they're going to be a menace on that one.
Mhm.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Well, those are some awesome, sweet changes. Do we want to go through any? So we can start going through the packet like top to bottom.
Yeah, I think we could. We should honestly just, even if it's just like, hey, this is all the same, we can just hit kind of every piece.
Yeah, going through the just the packet, like it has a map key now. The layout is way better, as we talked about earlier.
So easy to
Nice.
read.
I haven't read.
I also like that they added.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
I was
do
gonna
this
say
all
I
day.
really like that they added the chart for like setup and deployment, where it's just like a step by step of, okay, figure out the scenario, then figure out your pair and what you're playing. Like, instead of the
Yeah,
like
your rack
beginner question of
spells.
like, oh, but
Yeah.
when do I do my rack and when do I do that? It's like, no, it's laid out. Do it in this order. Like, that's such a little thing that like people figure out, but it just makes it so much easier for people who don't play as often or don't get a chance to like do as many tournaments, where instead of being like, oh, how does this work, like, it's right there, just read it, you're good.
And I think with the defenses coming back too, people remembering, oh, when do I do defenses? Having that written down as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know in my list, I started bringing back defenses, and we're like putting our models down. We're like, when do we do defenses? I'll do them now. It's fine. But now there's a proper order to go through.
Yeah, I kind of like that. It gets rid of any ambiguity, makes it so that like when you're in a tournament setting, there's not. Well, I mean, not that the War Machine community has an issue with like bad players, right? Like I feel like the community is pretty great, but it does. I like it that they're taking out as much ambiguity as they possibly can with examples,
Yep.
They even all the painted stuff in there. I think it looks great.
Yeah, no, the packet looks amazing. I mean, starting at the beginning though, it lists off just like a lot of the other ones. Your player responsibilities, goes over like how you should be using your tokens, how you should be using proxy bases, how many table markers you should keep on there. That's just to keep the table clean. And then it goes over like the 30, 40, 50s, 80s, 120s, stuff like that.
Oh, I do like
and
the
then
20
army
mils are
lists.
gone.
Yes.
Because
Yeah, that was always such a weird choice to bring in.
little penny-sized things, not a fan.
But at the same time, it was something different that we haven't seen like any real differences in Steamroller for years. So it was kind of nice to see them trying something different.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was like a bad decision make, but I'm happy they went back to 30. And like in the thing, they have an example of like the ammo crate of the Gravedigger's ammo crate, and I'm like, oh, because now you have 10 more millimeters to work on your fancy custom made objectives.
Mm-hmm.
This is a win-win.
Yeah, the only thing that kind of maybe not annoys me, but like it bothers me a little bit is, okay, we're gonna do the 20s, and here's the objective packs that we're gonna sell. And now a year later, it's like actually 20s or 30s. Like everybody has enough bases for the most part where you can just like slap it on there and it shouldn't be a big deal. But it's like that one feels a little off to me to be like, hey, we're gonna do this and sell it, but also now you need to fix it. Like, it's not like SFG's fault. That's just a weird one where it's like, I don't love that.
Do you think they'll keep selling objective sets? Because we haven't seen anything for a while.
Yeah,
they said it in one of the podcasts. They plan to, and what they're going to do is that they're going to change it. Obviously, they're not going to be selling the ones with the 20s. They'll most likely be upscaling it. 10 millimeters.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be the easiest thing since these are digital files.
Mm-hmm. The weird part is like if there are ones on the shelf, you're gonna buy it and it's gonna be wrong, and it's like, well, shit.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, a lot of our local stores don't like keep War Machine on the shelves, so I don't know anybody that had like objective sets on the shelves.
I was gonna say not even necessarily like the local stores, but like you look at like DGI, they probably have a bunch of them. They're gonna get shipped out to whoever, and it's gonna be incorrect. So, not that I guess it makes a huge deal because like the 30 went away and just replaced the cache, so like you have a spare 30 anyway. I guess it's fine. It's just one of those ones that I feel like it's gonna confuse somebody.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll come up at some point. But it's one of those you can't have everything be a winner.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is like I said again. This is their first SR, so right now they're
in that they have to
had.
bite the bullet on some things.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If DGI was
definitely in his what it is moment.
Yes, I was checking Miniature Mark and didn't see anything, but I think those actually might be direct from SFG.
Okay, that's
okay. Well, it's not too bad then.
Yeah, DGI did.
Because if it is, they should, check that kind of thing.
Yeah, they could just slip in the 30 mil to each one of those if they really wanted to.
Yeah, because the 20 mil will fit very well on top of the 30 mil, but it might not be the look you want for your objective.
I always say like they could just print a bunch of those extra new 30 mils and just slip them into those boxes. Like don't even have to.
That's true.
And then like don't even take the 20 mil out.
Just including the base. Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah.
And I'm loving this map key as well because figuring out what was a triangle, what was the other symbol, having to go back and look and see, it's great.
Yeah, they made it. I really like it. It just feels like it's going to be super super easy to set everything up. I remember when we used to set up games, and it would sometimes take a hot minute because you're looking back and you're like, what is that? Mm-hmm. You can't read it too good. You're like, son of a gun.
Yeah, it's the key is so much more clear. I love it.
Yeah. I guess another big thing is there's no 30 mil objective now.
Right, they did away with the 30 mil objective, so now there's no scoring element for just solos or leaders. So now it's the 40s and
Which
50s, and then
I
you have
kinda
the
like, 'cause
flags and the caches.
I feel like there were some lists out there that didn't really take it. You're not taking a bunch of solos, you're not taking very much, and like your solo might be a support solo, and so having them in the 30, you either like, hey, I'm gonna try to take this 30 and likely sacrifice my support solo who could be doing a lot better somewhere else, or just completely ignoring it. And honestly, I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, then there was where were the 30s like a lot of the time anyway? Usually like
Off to the
dead
side.
center-ish or way off to the side.
Yeah.
So like two fronts, it was dead center, and then there was a couple where it was just like way off in a corner where it's like either like in two fronts, it was okay, my caster sits up here because it's probably about where they want to sit anyway, and I score it, and now you just have to send something into contest. Or it's something that's way off to the side where it's like, what is the solo doing over here?
Camping.
Yeah. It's like, unless you're a Mage Hunter Commander or some other bullshit solo that gets to fucking reposition and do way too much work, like,
Thanks.
you're standing over there not doing anything.
You sound a little salty.
Yeah, a little bit.
I hate commanders with the fire of 1,000 suns. I don't know honestly what's worse, them or sniper teams, but they're both bullshit, and you can quote me on that.
Do you so in the and I will do we want to read the insight they gave to why they took the 30-minute mill out? I don't know if I want to quote them.
I didn't even know they gave us a reason. Honestly.
No, they're gonna be, explaining everything.
Ignore my. I posted it in there. We can keep going so you guys read that. I don't. And you said they're probably going to post insight on that too.
They are.
Oh yeah. Then we'll just SFG's article link below. Just go read what their insight is. That we won't have to worry about that. And I'm sure by the time you're listening to this, you've already seen them drop it anyway.
Yep.
So you're probably coming to see and be like, "What does this Ice King have to say about this? Is he stupid again?" Probably.
You're not stupid. You're pretty. It's fine.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't hear that often.
It's the mustache that does it for Ryan.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
Take me on a ride.
Wow, well, we were.
And you
Ross
are
has
now
one
listening
too,
to
by
an
the way.
explicit podcast.
Perhaps.
Yeah, mayhaps. I mean,
Look,
you
if
have
you
to have a
can't flirt with your
mustache. 'Cause
homies.
it adds 10 pounds in the gym. Like all your lists just go up 10 pounds when you have a mustache.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that checks out actually.
Yeah, I mean, let's go through some of the scenarios, and Wolf, I know you're kind of like our what do you want to call it,
You're a
rain
parent
man when
right
it comes
now.
to this, knowing what actually changed immediately. Because when we were reading it, you're like, nah, bro, that's how that always was. Like, oh, rats. If it's cool with you guys, we could go through some of the scenarios and talk them over.
So,
Which just real
scenario
quick is
one.
kind of
Okay,
well, just real quick, that's kind of a problem because everything was way too much. So I think a lot of these changes are really going to help the more casual players, such as myself.
It's true.
Didn't you just like 3-0 a tournament in Syracuse like 2 weeks ago?
2-1 in Albany.
Yeah, okay. Casual my ass.
But yeah, we can go to scenario one, which is color guard, and that is a new scenario. I will just read earning victory points right off the slide. Starting on second player's second turn, at the end of each player's turn, each player earns victory points as follows. At the end of each scoring round, after points have been scored, starting with the first player, each player places their opponent's flag on the terrain piece within 5 inches of the last scenario terrain piece, not already used as a scenario terrain by either player. If no terrain piece is valid for placement of a flag, do not move the flag. The flag remains in its location until the end of the game.
So this is one, I guess I'll just jump in and go first here. That seems super interesting to me because, number one, there's a little mini game with the flags because you score specifically at the end of the scoring round, which isn't really a term we've had before, so I had messaged Jamie and was like, hey, what does this actually mean? And it moves at the end of the round after the second player's second turn. So you score, then it moves on the end of turn 2, and then it moves again end of turn 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if it can. And there's a little mini game that can go with this because you can't go back to a piece of terrain that flag has been on or one your opponent's flag has been on. So it becomes this weird, like, okay, it starts up 16 up, 18 over. You get a 5-inch jump from there, wherever to whatever you want, and then you kind of have to plan out the path of like, okay, if I want it to end, kind of mid-table or stay on my side, where do I actually like want to place that so I can either keep it in this area the longest or like force the path? Because if like me and Kyle are playing, Kyle gets to move mine and I get to move his. So then you get to play this weird game of like, okay, end of turn 2, you're going to move mine and I'm going to move yours, and then we're going to do that again at the end of 3, and then at the end of 4. And you'll get to a point where it's like, well, one on one side can't actually move anymore, but the other one might be able to. And depending on like the path it has to take because it's not voluntary, you can end up in a situation where like one flag ends up at about mid-table maybe, and the other one is on like this wild circle around the outside,
Yeah.
constantly forcing things to move to like keep scoring or contesting it. So like that seems super interesting to me, depending on like how you can play that out. But also because the terrain objectives in this one, or I'm sorry, scenario terrain in this one scores for 2 points rather than just 1. It feels like a very interesting one where like you can get to a point where you're actually scoring up just by grabbing those scenario terrains, especially late game, once it's not as easy to contest them, that like you can end up in a scenario victory pretty definitively.
Yeah, I guess for the people who haven't read the packet, and if you're listening to us first, thank you. There's 2 50 mils in the middle. There's 2 caches on opposite corners, and there's 2 flags opposite corners but more centered. So caches are, I guess we can also real quick cover how caches are scored. Caches are now worth 2 victory points when scored, but you can't contest a cache before it is scored. So you can just have something within 3 inches of it, and it just can't be popped.
You also don't have to be base to base to score it anymore. You just have to be within 3.
Yeah,
Oh.
just within 3 is kind of cool.
I didn't
Within
realize that.
3 without a model contesting.
Yes.
Correct.
Well, you got to be
But it
left
makes it
alone.
easier.
You know, it's hard to open a box if you're constantly being berated.
Yeah, how else do you hold
Yeah.
X for the mystery box?
Exactly. It's just one of those weird. I feel like that's a nice little change. I know we didn't talk about it, but like it makes it so much easier instead of being like, all right, I guess this unit has to charge, and like maybe one guy can get there and not make his charge attack. It's like, no, like a random idiot can just kind of get there now as long as you can clear out anything that contests, and
Yep.
it doesn't have to be directly on top of it. Like it opens up that area of like, oh, I can score this from a different angle a little bit easier.
And then for
Yeah,
the flags, which is the scenario terrain, they are worth 2 victory points. This in scenario color guard, so that's where you can definitely rack up points if you just like if your flag just managed just like if you chose the table edge where your flag doesn't go that far, you can sit it near wherever it's at, and the opponent just kind of dances around the board. You might be able to score that late game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
makes
mean,
it way
I like
easier.
It is color guard,
Um,
right? It makes sense that the flags are worth more.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that.
I think
It's almost like they planned it.
who would have thought? Yeah, I really like this one, if only because I think it's also going to be a challenge. Maybe not a challenge.
The
Kind
game
of a
within a
challenge
game.
for TOs. Because like, it used to be before, if you set it up and it was like, oh, well, it can only go to this one piece of terrain, and then I guess that's where it goes. Like, you don't end up getting stuck on just like, oh, I had to pick this one piece of terrain, and I guess it just sucks that it's over here now. Like, depending on where things end up, it's like, no, it could jump to one side and then kind of move back towards the middle to make things easier. But I think that's also going to be a thing where, like, especially for convention organizers or like bigger tournaments, like, you have to watch your terrain placement, because if you end up in a situation where like one flag doesn't have another piece of terrain within 5 inches and the other one does, man, does it make it way easier for like that one person to be like, okay, well, it goes to this forest and it never moves, and I just get to easy score this every turn.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's going to put a lot more weight on TOs, like
mostly in
planning out
singles
their
tournaments.
tables.
I feel in team tournaments you can be like, there's a lot more options to choose a table.
For sure.
I mean, I feel like regardless, the organizers are going to have to be a little bit more conscious of how they're placing terrain.
At least
Just
placing
because of the
other
way that
terrain
this-
within semi-distance of other terrain now. I think that's going to be like the biggest thing when they keep in mind is like wherever other terrain is, make sure at least maybe something, or like three, like your corner terrains always have one or two things within 5 inches of it, so it'll always be able to jump. Because it's also to benefit the TOs. They can't have every scenario perfectly in their brain and have perfect tables all the time. Like, that's impossible.
Well, I mean, for sure, right? But like this leads more to like, hey, having symmetrical tables in tournaments that you're trying to play like hyper competitive, if you will. I think this is going to lead to, the scenarios are now all symmetrical. If you're a TO and you're trying to do something pretty competitive, then having kind of symmetrical tables can help a lot with that.
Another thing I
That's
just
just my
noticed,
2 cents.
I was going to say, nowhere in the flag section does it say that it can't be scatter terrain anymore either. So that's another one that you could use to kind of even that out a little bit.
How does that work if
That's
scatter
neat.
terrain gets popped, though?
If an objective terrain piece is destroyed, expires, or is removed from the table, before removing the terrain piece, the player who caused its removal places its flag anywhere touching its edge.
Okay.
Yep, they spell
Right
it
out of the
out.
packet.
So they want that.
So-
there you go.
Just with like talking about like the terrain moving around, they do in the near the end of the packet lay out like how terrain should be placed, like terrain not within 3 inches of a board edge.
Yeah.
They it kind of gives a little rundown, like shouldn't be placing obstructions within 6 inches of another obstruction.
Oh no, it completely lays it out. Yeah, I think they did a really good job with that. Like, if you're a TO and you're like, hey, I really don't know what I should be doing. Maybe it's your first time. You're kind of running something small. I feel like the packet is fantastic for just spelling everything out. It doesn't leave anything to like, hey, just figure it out.
Yeah. The other thing, as far as terrain goes, I surprised somebody didn't bring this up already. Is that it specifies now that every table should have 4 line of sight blocking pieces on it.
Yep.
And like, no more friggin' just alleyways of getting shot to death. I love that. Please do that.
I do like that.
Stormcaller stock went up.
What stock went up?
Stormcallers.
Oh, rip. Sniper team stock
Hey,
went
whatever
up.
it takes. Ain't stock going down because he doesn't ignore all that bullshit. Let's go.
That's right.
Yeah, get rid of Kane anyway.
He just
Just
boosts. He's already rat 9. He's fine.
Just delete Signar from the game. It'd be best for everybody.
Well, I think that kind of wraps up Color Guard. Any last moments on Color Guard?
No,
I think
I
we're
mean,
good.
I think it's going to be one of my more favorite scenarios. It's going to be real crazy to see how far away that flag ends up.
You can't
with the
say
amount of
that on
terrain.
the first one. You have to wait till the end.
Yeah, the
I'm
first
just
one
saying.
can't be your favorite.
Every
Silly
scenario,
goose.
Kyle's just going to be like, this one's my favorite for this
Yeah.
reason.
Yes. That's just like my toddler. This is my favorite.
This is my favorite.
Every scenario is the best scenario.
Going into trench warfare. This is another new scenario.
Not to be confused with the Trench Crusade.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, completely different thing.
Wrong game. If someone would like to read, I'm going to go grab a drink of water.
Yeah, I'll read it. Hey, so scenario victory, player wins immediately after the 3 points is pretty standard except for a couple of them. Where it starts to get a little interesting is you get earthworks within 3 inches of the player's own 40 or 50 millimeter objectives. Medium and small based warrior models gain cover and resistance blast. It's going to have your 40, 50 millimeter, your caches, 2 flags. It is symmetrical. Earning victory points starting on the player's second turn. You earn victory points as follows. You get 1 for each objective. If you score your enemy's flag, you're getting 2 victory points. You get 0 victory points for your own flag, and 2 victory points for your cache, which is pretty standard throughout. Caches are upgraded. And the game lasts for 7 turns.
Yeah, so this is another one I think is super interesting. Earthworks giving things medium and small based warrior models cover and blast resistance just hanging out means casters like your Harusk, your Vilkul, your Kane, your Rassic get to kind of hang out a little bit farther up the table and be a little bit safer, where maybe they weren't before. As well as just like your single wound infantry units being able to stand a little bit more up the table and get that extra cover and like ability to survive is super cool. The other thing with this one is not scoring your own flag. Like you can't. Feels super interesting here because like you don't really have an incentive to keep a bunch of models back to
To
like
score,
try.
yeah.
But also if somebody else can get there, you're giving up more points for it. So like the placement on these being 30 inches up from your opponent's side and 6 inches over means they're going to be like in the back corners of your like your deployment. But that just means like, hey, if ambushers come on and get there, like, oh boy, do you just start losing points quickly?
Yeah,
And
ambushers.
those-
I do think the flag is pretty close to the 50 mil though. So if
It looks
you're
like it's like
taking
8
your
inches
50
away.
mil, it's like
Yeah,
between
7, 8
7 and
inches.
8. If you're scoring your 50, you're gonna be able to charge, or if you're scoring your opponent's 50, you're able to charge that flag, right?
No,
No,
if
I'm
you're
reading
scoring
that
your
wrong.
own 50.
If you're scoring your own 50, you're able to charge the opponent's flag, or you're within one move of capturing that flag, right? So
Yeah.
I think you're still going to see, like, yeah, you're not incentivized to hold it because you're not getting points, but it's not like, hey, I'm going to ignore it and I don't care about it.
This one looks like it's going to do a lot
I-
of that vortexing where both players kind of like swing around each other.
I was gonna say it also kind of depends what that flag is, right? Because like again, if one of them's an obstruction, well now you only have to be within 3 to contest or score it. So you
Yeah.
get like an ambusher that just walks on. Hey, you're contesting it now. You don't even need to do anything else.
Yeah.
Versus, if it's an obstruction on one side and a forest on it or something on the other, like
You gotta be in
it's
there.
going to change how you can get to that and like move around it. And I don't know. This one feels again, it's just going to be super interesting.
Just a
Yeah,
mild,
absolutely.
just
I
a
can't wait to
mild
learn
complaint.
all of these at Captain Con.
I mean, that's what 2 days away.
Yeah.
Just
So what
just
you
a
need to
mo-
do is top of one every time. Just judge call Seth over and be like, Seth, I don't understand the scenario. Explain it to me.
I'm not gonna get murdered in my sleep. Thank you very much.
It's worth it. Be funny. Come on, do it.
What was
just
your
a
complaint?
mild complaint for me is we're still measuring from our opponent's board edge.
Yeah, I would have liked to kind of see all of your objectives being measured from your side of the table, because it just makes it easier to understand when you're setting it up.
Especially measuring 30 inches.
Right.
I mean, you can figure it out anyway. Like you know how big a 30 and a 50 is. Like you can do it from your own side.
mean-
It just requires a little bit of math.
For sure, but they could have very easily just had all of your stuff be measured from your side,
I wonder what that
and it
looked
would have
like
been
from
smaller
Roll By,
numbers.
or like what like I wonder what their reasoning for doing that was.
Yeah, I don't know.
Someone quick wake them up.
It's literally the middle of the night.
I was
There-
I was like, I wonder what time it is when we're going to be recording this. It's 1 a.m. there. I'm like, okay, well,
I was gonna
Yeah,
say they're
never
only
mind,
4
never
hours ahead.
it's not as bad. For some reason, I was thinking it was 7, but I must have been thinking.
Yeah, I don't
No,
know
when I
what
was
you were
in, I was
thinking.
gonna say when I was in Germany, it was only 6, so
Okay,
that's fine.
But that's my only complaint is still measuring from your opponent's deployment zone or your opponent's board edge.
yeah, the smaller the measurement, the better, because then you have to deal with like not trying to put your tape measure between 3 pieces of terrain.
Yeah, especially because like you're gonna have something obstructing, and now you're like, trying to figure it out. I mean, I guess you can measure from the board edge, but it would have been nicer to have like the closest measurements possible, or the smallest measurements possible.
But
Yeah.
overall,
It's a weird choice.
It is what it is.
Kyle, is this one your favorite scenario?
yeah, why is
Sure.
this your favorite scenario?
I think the graphics are pretty.
He likes blast resistance, man. Leave him alone.
I mean, yeah, the 40 is so if you're playing a caster like Kane or one of the more the casters that want to be in cover, and the blast resist is nice. The 40, the back of it is 12 inches. So if your base is on that side of it, you're outside a kill box. You don't have to worry or even think about it. It's already there measured for you.
Yeah, I like that a lot. My Helith is going to be very happy sitting in there. Helith with feet in there? Okay.
I
Hilda's
guess
gonna
I'll
die.
take more sprays.
Look, shush.
That pretty much covers the trench warfare. I think. What's the next one? Wolves on our heels,
Yep.
or wolves at our heels? Excuse me. Who's
So-
reading this one, dude?
I mean, Wolf, you just want to you can go over this one and just be how it changed. Everyone knows wolves are heels for the most part.
Okay. So the only things that changed with wolves are it's your movement of the 40 now has to completely pass the 24-inch line in the center, which is going to require it to make 2.5, roughly 3 moves. Which is, I think, going to slow the scenario down a bunch, because now if you contest well, it's not just like, oh, I moved it once, and now we both contested every turn, so, like, I'm going to get the points. Like, no, it actually has to move a couple times to get there. I think that's really the only thing that changed here. I think the only other change was the caches swapped out for flags, which are now 20 inches up, 12 over. So, like, they're almost center. It's going to be super kind of neat, again, to see where those go. But otherwise, it's still, expanding kill box every turn, 250s, 240s, and then you get the bonus at the bottom of 4 if you pass that 24-inch line. So wolves is still wolves. I think it's just going to be a little bit slower, but I'm willing to be wrong there.
All right, Kyle, why is this your favorite?
It's not new. It's not his favorite.
Yeah, it's not new. Kane is very sad by the kill box change.
Oh no, Kane is sad about something. What
Oh
an
no, I
awful
have to
thing
play
that
something
is.
different.
Oh, it's a good thing you have 2 lists.
That is true.
You have to play Calder or Wolf or some other bullshit caster instead. I feel so bad for you.
All right. Same thing with payload. Very new. Kyle, this one's on you, buddy. Or very old.
Oh dear.
Yeah, this one's on you, man.
Oh man. All right. Scenario victory is going to be the same. 3 points higher on the opponent's turn. Made to haul. After you move your 50 mil objective, friendly cohort can move 5 inches directly towards their 50 mil objective. This is going to have 2 50s, 2 40s, 2 flags. Second player, second turn, we're scoring. At the end of each scoring turn, after points have been scored, it's pretty much the same. You move the 50, and then you get plus 1 inch for each 40 and 50 millimeter objective secured as well. Each objective is worth 1 point. You do not score your flag, just like payload was, and if your 50 mil ends its movement within the area of the scenario terrain, it is removed, and you earn 3 points.
So theoretically, you could move this thing 8 inches? No.
It's
3,
No.
4, 5, 6.
6.
Yeah, because you get 3 inches for securing your 50.
For some reason, I thought I heard 5, and I was like, "What? Wait, what? That's new." But yeah, you move it 3, and you can move an extra inch for every other objective you scored, up to 6.
It doesn't say every other objective.
I think that's...
Unless it's supposed to. That might be a thing that gets changed.
Yeah, it might be something that gets changed, but according to this, you get plus 1 for each 40 and 50.
Yeah, so
but that looks like
a 7 total.
Right, but it looks like it's a separate thought. So I think because you're scoring your 50, you get to move it 3 and then plus 1 for each one. When we
I
get
see what you
the
guys are saying.
yeah,
That does weird a little
'Cause-
weird.
Yeah.
So it'll be
Um,
we'll know their intent when they, clarify on it.
By the time you're
it-
listening to this,
Yeah, I mean it's payload. They got rid of the 30, and now it's the same on both sides. So
Yeah.
you don't have
Yeah.
the second player having that extra scenario, scoring and movement to really push them ahead.
Yeah, because before there was that 30 just chilled back there ruining
Yeah,
the other
nothing.
player's day.
And it was really hard to get to contest, and unless you're just throwing, models away.
I still genuinely don't think you're gonna see this in tournaments, because of it's still so super terrain dependent. Like again, it had the same problems as before of like if the only terrain piece you can pick for your flag is in front of it, and mine is farther back, like I just kind of get an advantage inherently.
Do you think this
And now
is
you
worse
add in the problem.
than
I think it's
color guard? Like, do you think you'll see color guard in tournaments, but you probably won't see payload?
Probably. Color guard is at least interesting and offers a chance for both people to do interesting things. This is very much like if you have a building on one side and a forest on the other, even if that forest is like an inch farther forward, because you only have to get within 3 of that building, like you have the advantage there. And especially if that thing is farther forward than back, or like you just happen to be in a place where like, oh, I can only pick this one thing, like it has all the same problems as before. And I think unless somebody sets this up for round 1 so that like the TO or whoever's helping them set up can specifically be like, okay, does this make sense, and not immediately lose someone the game, I still don't think you're going to see it.
Yeah, I can see color guard being a round 1 scenario because it gets awkward.
Maybe.
And
I think that one.
with just real quick with payload, they did lower the jackpot amount, if I recall. It was 5 and now it's 3.
Hang on.
I mean, I haven't played, like, we played payload at the last tournament, but we didn't get to that point to score.
I have SR25 next to me. It scores
Yeah,
5 points.
It went from 5 to 3. So it's not as damaging if you let your opponent score it, but like in a tight game, that 3 points is still probably going to be enough.
Right. And this also says, according to what I'm reading here, both players can score it.
Yeah, you could, like, if you held both 50 millimeters, you can score. You could theoretically score both of those.
Let me reread this.
If a
'Cause it
player's
says that
50 mil objective ends its movement within the area of the scenario terrain or being within the scenario terrain piece is impossible within 3 inches of the piece of terrain itself, that player immediately earns 3 points. Remove that 50 mil.
Yep. So I think in the other payload, only one person could score that, like jackpot. This, according to what I'm seeing, looks like, say, if you score it on your turn,
and then I score on my turn.
Yes.
No, I
Yeah,
think
we could
each
both.
player could earn the jackpot. It was just the second player had the 30 mil like in their zone, so they always had an extra inch, so they were always at an advantage.
Right.
So now both players only have a 40 and a 50, the 50 being their payload. They can both, like, if nobody scores each other's objectives, they are always getting the same amount. And there's no, like, bonus. There's no extra. It's a symmetrical scenario. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And the 5 point jackpot was a lot harder to come back from than 3. I mean, it's still
because if
on top of what you're scoring is still going to be hard.
Because if I score my 3 points and then you go score your 3 points, it's still just 3 points, and we're both moving the same amount. If you give up the middle a little bit more to push yours, it's still you have another turn to push yours again.
Yep.
I don't know. It'll take a while before that to settle out and see how it'll do.
Yeah, we'll see how it settles out after this weekend.
This weekend's
Still
gonna
betting
be
still betting $1. You don't see payload.
just
I
a
don't know.
dollar.
Right, you heard it. You
Doesn't-
heard it here first.
I mean,
$1.
Seth might.
He owes
Seth
$1
might wanna
to every
punish his
listener.
players.
If he owes $1 to every listener if he sees payload Captain Con. That's all it's saying.
But you have to,
I won't see it. I'm not going to be there. So
yeah, he already wins. He already wins. It was all according to
him.
the plan. I didn't see payload.
I didn't pay attention to Longshanks. I don't know how to read just the scenario part.
Yeah, I don't read it. I can't read it all. Speaking of that, two fronts.
Another repeat scenario.
True.
Ross,
But
kick
it's
us
different.
away.
Kick us away. All right, we got our classic. If you score more than 3 points, you win. You got your 40s, your 50s. No 30s. You got a flag directly in the middle. And when we're looking at objectives secured, you get 1 point if you secure your 40, your 50, and 1 point for the flag. But if you are able to get both 40s or both 50s, you get a total of 4 points, which rocks. But that's how it was before. I don't know. We saw it and we got one of those like, hey, everything's changed. So, oh yeah, you're scoring 4 points, and then Wolf came in. He's
Well,
like, yeah,
before
dude,
the
that's,
flag
that's how this
was
works.
just more. Was it a flag or a cash? Hang on, I have this in front
I
of me.
think. Oh, I don't know. Yeah,
It was a
you're the one
30
with the
mil,
rules.
and it was not centered, and it was for player 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing here is it's just. I think they're leaning into the tournament play and just trying to make things as symmetrical as possible, so that there's less like, oh damn, this sucks. I was player 2, or I was player 1, or I was player 2, so I'm just at a
But-
disadvantage.
As we were talking about before, it being a flag, depending on the terrain, it can go to one side or the other, and then you can kind of like build that bunker on one side.
I mean, it can, but like realistically, I don't think it matters because let's say it skews right, then like yeah, you're gonna fight over the 40s. But if you're fighting over the 40s, but you're ignoring the 50s, and your opponent scoops the 50s, they're scoring 4 freaking points, right? Like that's a lot. If you contest a single 40, like if you score both 50s and you contest a single 40, you are doubling the points of your opponent every turn. Even if that's where all the fighting is going, like yeah, that might make it where like that's where the fight goes, but I don't foresee that having a huge impact. I think it'll be more list dependent.
Any thoughts from the peanut gallery?
I was gonna say I think like we said the terrain objective rather than the cache is gonna make this interesting, just because of where it can go and how that's gonna affect some of the scoring. But like otherwise, it's the same two fronts as before. You're gonna rotate to one side and then keep people out and score a bunch and say deal with it.
Pick your favorite. What do you think you can hold the best, and then push your opponent out?
Speaking of favorites,
Yeah, I
Was
do
it-
like that. I will say real quick that
Actually,
all
me
of these scenarios so far, I think literally all of them have double 50s. I don't think there's been a single scenario that didn't have 250 objectives, and that's super interesting for list construction, especially when you start looking at lists like Baronova, who only ever wanted to take like the one Mastodon and maybe a cheap Direwolf. How that's going to change with Colossals coming out, like the Chimera one, the Dusk one, the Garlgas becoming more popular. How that's going to change how people build lists, and how it's going to change some of the scoring, because now you're kind of more incentivized to take more battle group models, when there was some lists and casters who were only ever like, yeah, I'm just going to take the one and call it a day.
yeah,
You know, you look at like
Moraine
a
taking
Tyrus.
the one gas.
Yeah.
Or Tyrus taking the one
Moraine
gas.
would take the one gas. The Tyrus would take maybe 2, and it's like, okay, well now, they're going to go up, and that one of them's going to die. So like, how are you scoring all of these 50s versus maybe some of the Hordes factions like a Ragemonger who could just put 4 Dire Trolls on the table and be like, let's go.
Yeah. Well, there's my other good ones right now. My Hazaroth list runs 1 Spectre, but the beauty of it is Spectres don't die, so they'll be fine.
Well, and counter argument, right? Like, let's say your list is not battle group heavy. Like, you might not focus on the 50s because you can contest with anything, right? So, if your list is like not Jack centric, not B centric, you might be like, hey, the 40s are going to be my 2 objectives that I'm going to just try to absolutely stomp everyone out on. And then I just need to contest a 50.
The 50s can still be scored by your leader and battle engines.
And then not every scenario. Like Color Guard doesn't have a 40 scenario.
Yeah, so every scenario has 2 50s and 2 40s except for Color Guard, which only has the 2 50s.
And maybe, possibly,
And 2
best
caches.
laid plans. Possibly.
Well, we'll get to
we'll
that.
Get to there, but we'll get to there.
But,
That's a
super interesting
that will help us later.
It's true. Every scenario having the 250s, though, I think is interesting because I think that's going to force some list construction.
Lead to like a good counter building with people, or like maybe like list, like you said, list building. Just because like before, like a lot of people just if they didn't have to take more than one jack, they wouldn't, because that's the bare minimum for 100 points. That's what they're taking, and they can just spam dudes. But now you might be like, even if I can spam dudes, and even though legally, like, what if my arc node dies? I'm out of scoring. Because like some armies could survive off no arc node, and like just contesting, but like now you might not.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I think for some lists, maybe you're still only gonna see that like token beast or jack, but you're gonna have to go into it with the like, okay, I might actually be in a problem scenario once we get to like the mid to late game if I don't get ahead.
Yeah, if I can't hold those 40s. Yeah.
Or somebody just spikes dice at the wrong time, and it's like, oh yeah, I can contest this all day. Oh man, you picked up, an extra 2 solos that I wasn't expecting to get, or like you just picked up this unit that I wasn't expecting you to get to. How do I actually contest that now? And it's like, well, good luck.
Good luck. Yeah, and for like those squishier casters that like don't do a good job of sitting on like objectives, that's even worse for them.
Or even like the more aggressive ones, because again, a lot of these, the 50s are kind of like off in the corners, so you get like a Vilcool who wants to bully the table. Like, she doesn't want to be sitting in the back corner. She wants to be in the center.
Yeah.
And if you're only taking one jack, like, what are you doing? Or like a Baronova who needs your enemies in their feet to do stuff. It's like, well, she really doesn't want to be sitting back because, boy, is she not getting value out of her feet then. Like, at a certain point, she can start running that way, but like early game, that gets risky.
So we can go back 2 quick scenarios real quick. So we can go back to payload. Why is payload your favorite, Kyle?
Yeah, Kyle.
I don't think payload's my favorite.
Okay. So
why do us?
Why is 2 fronts your favorite?
I mean 2 fronts. I mean, it's a fine scenario. I mean, it's symmetrical. It's gonna.
Mm-hmm.
You hear, folks. He loves symmetry.
Don't we all? It just looks good.
So, second question for you, Kyle. Which one of these are you going to bully John on the most?
I still haven't played against his 2 king list, and a lot of these I'm kind of worried about because he'll just park 2 kings with Fortify right on both objectives and say, deal with it.
All right, Meme Lord going to WTC next year. Let's go.
You heard it here.
2 kings all the way. Let's do it.
Hey, you never know. Going into the final scenario, best laid plans. This one is a spicy one.
My favorite.
This tickles me in Mark II.
Earning victory points starting at the second player's second turn, or at the end of the second player's first turn. Before scoring, the second player rolls 1d3. On a roll of a 1, remove both caches from the game. On the roll of a 2, remove both 40s from the game. On the roll of a 3, remove both 50 mils from the game. And then everything is score 1 victory point. You score a cache, you get 2 victory points. But this sounds hilarious.
Yeah, this is where you bring the just 1 arc node, and then you leave it up to good old Lauren Jesus to determine whether or not you were going to win this game. That's the real secret here.
Well, if the 50s go away, because of how it's laid out, you're playing 2 fronts.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Yeah, dude, if you can just roll them away, you're good. Well, depending on what your list is, I guess. Some lists probably want to get rid of the 40s, some might want to get rid of the 50s. I think the caches getting removed is because that's... If you score caches, you score caches. Right?
And this is for anybody.
If you score them, you're scoring them.
Look at it. All the the 40s, the 50s, and the caches are very close to each other. They are like
They're on top of each other.
they are like 2 inches away.
Yeah.
I think this one, I really like this one, but I think like it's gonna be a real feels bad moment when you're like, okay, you go your first player, second turn, you spread out to do everything. The other person's like, well, I don't want to try and contest everything, so like, I'm just gonna contest the caches and like the 50 and screw the 40s, and the 40s disappear, and it's just like, oh, I made the right choice here.
So this goes player 1 goes first, moves up the board. Player 2 goes, it's their first turn, they roll the dice.
At the end.
At the end of their turn.
So they can't
Before
roll the
the
dice and be like,
second
haha,
round,
you
before
fool, my caches are gone. And
Yeah,
then move
so
up only
before
to get the
scoring,
40s. Yeah.
It's just gonna be a weird one when you go first and you're like, okay, I gotta spread out to make sure I can get to
So
everything.
scoring happens on the
then
second
if,
turn,
like-
right?
Yeah, scoring
Yeah.
still happens on the second turn. I think this was something they were working on before and probably didn't remove some wording.
Because it says at the end of the second player's first turn.
So
you move
first
up.
player goes and runs up.
Yep.
To like be able to get to everything.
I
Second
don't
player
understand,
goes and
where you're
says,
confused.
this is what I want to get to, and I guess it's fine. End of their turn, they either like the 40s, or the 50s, or caches go away. Then the first player gets their second turn to readjust. Second player gets their second turn to readjust, and then scoring happens.
Yeah, there's no scoring until one
I see,
entire
yep.
round after the shit gets removed, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
it's still a
you're
gamble.
gonna move up to hit everything, and then it's gonna be like, what? Well,
like you could totally gamble to go back to your point earlier, right? Where your opponent, you're the second player, you move up and you're like, all right, 40s be damned, I'm going for 50s and caches. And then you could roll 40s be damned, right? But at the same time, you could roll caches be damned. And then you're like, I might have made a tactical error. Right?
well,
Like
I think
it's a
the-
gamble no matter what. If you
For
only
sure.
go for 2.
I think the other thing that's going to be funny is because at a certain point you can start using like the 40s, the 50s, the caches to block landing spots. So you can like put things up and be like, oh, you could get a charge here, except this 40 is in the way. And then somebody's just going to roll and be like, the 40s are gone. And you're going to be like, well, shit.
Yikers!
Guess you get to get there now.
best laid
That's a problem.
plans, buddy.
Yeah, that's why it's the best laid plans. Who laid the best plans?
But it would be even if, like, say you gambled on the 40s and like you dove on them and you deployed for them. Even if you lost the 40s, I don't feel like it's going to be super hard to pivot because there's no bonus points for
I'd
scoring
say
both.
The only one that you don't ever gamble on is the 50s. Like you always assume the 50s are gonna.
No, you split your army
you
in
always
half.
assume the
You
50s
don't
are
go to
gonna
the
be
middle
there.
and you only tackle the
Yeah,
edges.
yeah, it's a gamble. It could work. It's a bold move, Cotton, but it pretty much guarantees that something is useless.
See if it pays out for them.
But if you go for the 50s, if you do choose to gamble, I would definitely be like 50s in cash or 50s in 40. And that way, even if the 50s leave, you just move over. Whereas, like, if you go taco it, you're kind of just... I don't know, I guess technically you're not SOL regardless, but, like, I don't love it. I don't love it.
Yeah, it's not going to be
I
solid.
will say- I was going to say, I will say the one thing I kind of both like and dislike about this is that if the 40s or caches go away, it cuts the table down so much because like you have no reason to go to that side of the table now. Like it just basically doesn't exist.
It gets that.
Which, like,
yeah.
I was going to say, for me, who plays Chimera, that's super nice because all of my casters have a 12-inch control range and I don't want to spread out. That's super awesome.
A lot of armies
but,
like
like-
that. Like Hazaroth loves that too. He wants to play in his fucking 10-inch bubble.
Yeah, he just gets to walk into the middle near a 50 and be like, all right, I live here now and cats are never dying. We're going to live forever.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to play on the edges only, you know? I don't ever want to play in the middle. That's my
Yeah,
game
I
plan.
mean, I think the worst thing to disappear is going to be the 50s. Because then you have to decide where you're going to go, which 9 times out of 10 I feel like is going to be the 40s because the
Well, yeah,
caches are
caches
a
only score
one-time
once.
score.
Yeah, I mean, granted, you're getting 2 points, so like if you score both caches, you get 4 points. So that's 2 turns worth of.
Well,
If you score
no,
both
you
turn,
you can't score your own cache.
oh
You can
yeah,
only
oh,
score
shit.
your opponents.
Yeah, so caches are kind of.
Well, that's going to be the
Yeah.
rough part about that, though, is if like the 50s go away, you still need to have something over there to contest your cache and threaten the other one because they're 2 inches apart. So like something you just go, oh screw it, I guess I'm going all into the 40s. Whatever your opponent had on that side to be the token contester or to fight over it is just like, oh, I guess I just score 2 free points now.
I really am liking my little. So in my Hazaroth list, I've been testing a Spectre, Seeker Depths, and a Void Shaper. That's like this little like independent module that could just be annoying. And like you could camp him on the caches and be like, all right, go ahead. Kill it.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Bold strategy. You hardline the 40s. And you give some dookie whatever to the caches, right? Because 2 points in the scheme of things, the game could go to fucking 7 turns. 2 points is not huge in the scheme of 7 turns, or at least depending. And then you just hardline the 40s. If the 40 goes away, you just slam it into the 50. It's a bold move, God.
So that's what I'm saying. Like you could in my Hazaroth list, you could bold line the 40s because I'm gonna have a ton of units. Yeah. My Spectre little module is over there just to annoy the crap out of the caches.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything crazy.
And like he doesn't need to be in Hazaroth's control like super close because he has his own focus giving. He has his own little repairman for 2 points.
I think my solution to that Spectre is apply Drakion to face, and I don't have to kill it. I just need to slam it over the top of everything else and then not care about it.
Yeah, Machine Wraith go burr.
No, I'll give it. I say I'd give it IR, but like IR goes on the cats, so never mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say, please throw IR on the Spectre on the other side of the table, so I don't have to deal with it. This is a great plan.
Most certainly, definitely don't put IR on the Spectre. That would be a very bad day for me. Yes, no, please don't ever do that. The cats, that's where you want to leave it.
Yeah, just let cats get knocked down. This is totally fine.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll buy it. He'll buy the reverse psychology next time we play, for sure.
Cats are like Def 13. Nothing's going to hit him anyway.
Yeah, man, that's like so high, dude. That's more than you can count on 2 hands, you know?
True,
that's pretty high.
And like we're all like Dusk. Nobody has any met fixing. We're all basically just met 6 across the board. Like that's so high of a number.
Look.
Well, let's not bring other numbers into it, The 13 high number, that's, I think, all we need to say about that, Bring it down, if anything.
So, Ryan, do you think you're going to see this over Payload?
Yes.
100%. Oh, for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
I think this is probably going to be one of my favorite games. It'll probably be loved and hated, but that's most good things in life, right?
Because now we're at the end, we can say our favorites now, Kyle. I think
man, I still think mine's Color Guard. It's going to be real interesting to see how far that flag moves each game with the amount of terrain that's on the board.
I would say it's going to be a tie for me, and between Best Laid Plans or Color Guard, it's going to be whichever one I lose on first. I'm going to hate more.
Just wait.
What if you lose
until every time you play, it's the 50s that disappear on Best Laid Plans.
I'm here for it, and it'll be me playing against you,
dude. I can use my 1d3 dice now. I'm so excited. I can use them more often. Because Pig doesn't have it anymore, so I don't really ever use them aside from the commanders.
Well, you don't use Pig anymore either as much anyway.
This just reminds me of Incursion, which I loved, but so many people hated.
Yeah, I'm excited for this, actually. I think net gain. Steamroller, net gain. That's where I stand on this.
No, and like
net positive improvement.
Overall, this is a significantly better packet, I think.
Oh yeah, not even counting the fact that not even counting the craftsmanship, just net gain on the scenarios themselves.
Yeah, no, this definitely feels like SFG put a lot of time and thought and testing into, and it feels like a very good hey, this is our first packet. Hope you like it, and everyone loves it. Yeah.
So
everything feels deliberate.
Here's a question: since Color Guard is everybody's favorite,
not mine.
Okay, since Color Guard is everybody who matters favorite.
Yeah. Wow. Hang on, whose cast are you on? Hang on.
Fired. Can the flag jump to a defense?
Ooh, good question.
If so, that makes defenses super interesting. Because I'll read it verbatim. At the end of each scoring round, after points have been scored, starting with the first player, each player places their opponent's flag on a terrain piece within 5 inches of the last scenario terrain piece not already used as scenario terrain by either player. If no terrain piece is valid for placement of a flag, do not move the flag. The flag remains in the location until the end of the game.
Oh, let's go to command cards
Defensive.
and read
Yeah, what is
defenses.
it?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Say-
we have to read defenses here. If it counts as terrain, I would say yes, because it does have rules
They're-
specific for
I was
destroying.
gonna say they're
defenses.
obstruction. Like if you put a defense wall, that's an obstruction, right? It's like if so, boy, does that make this a little more interesting.
My objective is now a flag. Stand on it. Or no, my objective is now a spike trap. Please stand on it.
My objective is now
If
this
you go
barrier
under,
that gives
if
you
you go
-2
under
move.
defenses, you click on it. The first thing it says general terrain feature defense.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you open up defenses and click on barrier, obstacle. This terrain feature is an obstacle, which means it's a terrain feature.
If it's a terrain feature, then it technically could have a flag.
Seth.
All of them say. Yeah, all of them say obstacle or spike trap says rough terrain, and it specifically calls it a terrain feature.
That's fun. Oh boy.
Interesting.
That's super neat. Somebody bother the rules form about this tomorrow when you're listening to this and see if that's actually legit.
That's gonna be the
But,
title of
yeah,
this video.
that's-
That's gonna be the title of this
I think it
podcast.
does because it does specifically talk about different terrains. It talks about scattered terrains within the terrain piece within the pamphlet. And I don't know, if I was the TO and you put me on the spot, I'd say yeah, it counts.
Here's what you do. You get them to, you trick your opponent to putting it on their defense. You run your 80 mil over it, take their flag away. They can't score it.
No, because
Doesn't
then
it
it just
just
becomes an
get
obstacle.
dropped?
It just drops. Yeah,
Oh,
you
never
can
mind.
still score it.
Thought I had an
The
idea.
funny one though is what you can do is make a line of like fire pits or barriers or something
They'll,
across
pull it
like the
away.
middle of the table. That's because you move your opponents, so you can basically give yourself a line that says, "Oh, instead of maybe going through this weird circuitous route, like
Or
I'm
you
just
could
going to
just
jump to
daisy
these
chain it
defenses I
towards
put
yourself.
down." Yeah, and make a straight line back towards yourself.
You play Codor, you're flame resistant, you use only flame traps.
Yeah,
You drag the flag through the flame traps, only you are safe.
All right. So title of this
I think it-
podcast is Terrain Becomes Objectives.
Codor
Defenses
broken,
are
question
objectives.
mark? Defense is broken, question mark?
Second funny thing that makes this kind of hilarious, if you put the flag on a powder keg and then throw the powder keg,
Would you throw the
what
flag?
happens to the flag?
Oh, these are the questions only God can answer. Yeah, that's a question for
my
SFG
God, this is
tomorrow
amazing.
for sure. This could be really cool. Like, imagine you pick up the powder keg and just chuck that shit across the table back to your line. You're like, yeah, I threw it at my own mechanithrow, but what are you gonna do about it?
This will be what we call the
That would
title
be
of
great.
the title has now become Throwable Flags? Question mark?
Throwable flags. 9
That's
tips
actually
Big
hilarious.
SFG doesn't want you to know about.
How to win your
Okay.
next tournament? Throwable Flags.
Throwable flags edition. Yeah. I don't know. That'd be pretty fucking cool, though. You gotta try it this weekend.
I don't.
Call the rules. Tell them to show you where it says you can't throw the flag.
I'm sure they will have it answered because this 100% will probably come up unless we're missing some wording somewhere.
Look, we don't know how to read. We can't miss anything.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, does the powder keg say terrain? That's the part we might be missing. Somebody look at it. Somebody look at it.
I'm looking at
I
it.
just
So
closed it.
this is
If
No.
it says terrain, then theoretically, Operation Fluffernutter can happen.
so people who are going to CaptainCon this weekend. I make it a point every time I go to a convention to find some
Is the powder
weird
keg still
ass
here?
rule to call
Uh-oh.
Seth and or Travis and or somebody else over about. What you need to do is try this and see what they say,
Oh, there it
because
is.
the look you're gonna get is gonna be better than anything else you do all weekend.
Yeah,
This
you're literally
terrain feature
gonna
is
become-
an obstacle.
Oh, it's an obstacle. It counts as the flag. Yeah, here's what I'm saying. You got to become the. You ever seen the meme? I'm sure you guys have seen the meme where they talk about the corn player at the Warhammer tournament, where he just sits there and he's fucking shadow boxing, and he's like, I don't have any strategies to deal with your shooting. Just roll the dice. You do the same thing, but instead of shadow boxing, you sit there and you just grin evilly. You say, hey, you get to the flag with your jack, with your war beast, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna throw this thing. They're gonna call the tournament organizer. And what are you gonna do? You're gonna open up defenses and you're gonna open up the book. You're gonna say, show me where it says I can't throw the flag.
You can just make a line of powder kegs.
Yeah.
And your entire goal is just how many times
You're
can I
playing
throw
keep away,
this?
dude. It's Hot Potato War Machine Edition. It's its own game. You're not even playing the same game. It's like 5D chess here. All right, they're playing War Machine. You're playing Hot Potato. They can't stack up against it. God, you have to try this, Taylor. All right, I need you to bring. You're bringing defenses anyway.
I've already done my list
Right?
submit. Hang on.
Do you have defenses in one of them? I thought you were.
I have defenses in both of my lists, but I've already submitted my list.
Well, what do you have to?
So you're changing those
defenses?
No, you're changing the defenses. Whatever you were going to take, at least one list. It's all powder kegs now. And
yeah, well, at least one powder keg, and make that shit the flag, and shoot that fucking thing.
He needs to make sure he has a jack or something that has the throw power attack with an open fist. Oh
man, who could possibly have an open fist?
It's Dusk. He's got every fucking rule, dude.
I know.
Come on, he's probably got like Rat 9 on the throw or something.
My Moraine list does have an open
Spectre
fist.
Doesn't have an open fist. Bullshit.
The Eidolon has an open fist on the Null Blade.
Eidolon's got a fist, and it probably just says, you never miss the throw because Dusk. That's just how it works.
It is.
I don't make the rules.
I've never made a throw attack.
World we live in.
And just keep in mind, powder kegs are directly away. You don't target anything, you just throw it directly away.
Perfect, dude. You can chuck that thing. You don't even have to throw it at your own units.
Yeah,
you can.
Directly away is just what you need to do is just get on the other side of it then and start tossing it right back towards yourself.
Yeah, no, I like where this is going.
You've got a ghast with a blaster fist. It has an open fist. What else is it doing?
Exactly. And who else is going to make Reddit front page on the first week these rules are listed if you don't throw the objective all the way back into your deployment zone? You have to. It's for science. It doesn't matter if it costs you the tournament.
Sure.
For science.
It's about the memes. Don't let your dreams become memes.
Exactly. It's not the destination. It's the journey. And that journey includes throwing objectives.
For Lord of the Ringsing this shit.
Yeah. Plus, you could be the reason for a rules revision. It could be the Taylor rule, the Ice King rule. You can't throw the flag. That could be printed with your name on it.
All right, new SR drops within 24 hours. It's had to get FAQ because we didn't realize some idiot was going to do this.
Within 7 days. Come on. It's going to take a couple days to get the edits through. But hear me out. That would be pretty cool. I think having a rule named after you is pretty cool. Or you solidify it as a bold strategy and you completely change the meta of the game for the entire season.
Suddenly everybody's taking defenses all the time. Sapper becomes the second most taken command card. Let's go.
Everyone takes defenses, which drives everyone to take Sapper. Yes. We're talking meta defining. We're talking meta defining strategies. All right, this could be a game breaker. I don't know. I think you kind of have to now. Is this a team competition this weekend, Taylor?
There's a 3-man team con.
Yeah, dude. Just be the sandbag for one round. Even here.
Which speaking of, I don't know. I saw Seth said there was one ticket available for that still.
Oh, he missed it.
What I missed?
Yeah, I guess there was some shenanigans with the team tickets, and there somehow was an extra one. I don't know all the details, but
I think 2 people on a team both had a ticket is what the issue was.
Oh, yeah, that'll do it.
So Ross, you're gonna come up and start a team?
Probably not, dude. I got stuff to do this weekend.
Yeah,
Captain
you gotta
Con.
go-
might be working.
Yeah,
actually,
you're going to Captain
less than
Con.
ideal.
By the way,
yeah,
we're
well,
you're
driving-
going to Captain
we're
Con to
driving
throw
on
flags at
Thursday.
people.
I'm pretty confident that if I choose not to go to work, I actually get arrested. So
You don't
that's
choose.
less than
You
ideal.
put in leave officially and make them either deny it or approve it.
Yeah, well, I can't if I'm already working this weekend. Too late.
I'm pretty sure you can go AWOL for like 72 hours before they try to hunt you down. You're fine.
24 hours before it becomes a crime, but I'm not really trying to roll those dice. Quite literally.
You don't need to be gone for that long. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna drive the 6 hours down, right? You're gonna play.
Okay,
the
it is
one
9
event,
hours to
you're gonna
Rhode
do
Island
this,
from us.
game.
and then
Okay,
and then you're gonna
first of all,
explain
that's
nothing,
pretty
and you're
good
just gonna drive back.
Yeah, you see, that worked years ago. When I was a youngin'. I'm old. All right, they know that I know better, which means that there are consequences.
So here's the thing: what you need to do before this weekend, then, is remind everybody in your chain of command that you are in fact an idiot and a glutton for punishment who does
Ooh.
not
No, they
actually
know that
understand
part.
consequences
They
nor
know
the
that
world.
part. Yeah, idiot is going to be a harder one, just because I haven't done anything bad recently. But
You can fix that.
eh,
That's not even like a challenge. We can fix that. Follow
Look,
my
look.
advice for 20 minutes, and they're gonna be like, "What the
I'm
actual?"
a firm believer in good boy points are meant to be saved and spent sparingly. All right.
No,
I got a lot of
cash
things
out right
going
now.
on.
We're going to Captain Con.
That sounds fake. And I'm not saying I
That
don't
saved
believe
me once
you,
or twice. And currently, I've got a lot of, what do you want to call them? Parlays would be a good word with all these good boy points, and that could come crashing down at any moment.
So here's the thing, right? You just gotta enroll. What is it? The E5 Mafia? They'll get it done
He's
for you.
past that.
E4, and unfortunately, yeah, that ship has sailed.
This ship has sailed for both of us.
You
Yeah.
still gotta know somebody.
Oh, I do. Yeah, but unfortunately, they don't play War Machine. Well, actually, I 100% do. Yeah, Taylor, sandbag one of the rounds while you're at your team comp and throw the fucking objective, call the rules over, and either drastically change the meta for the rest of the season or have a rule invented because of you. There's no downside.
True. I'm not seeing
Yeah,
anything bad that could happen here.
We've already
Someone-
discussed it.
I'm going to Longshanks right now. I'm editing my list. I'm bringing a powder keg.
Correct.
There you go.
Just one.
Again, the look on Seth's face when you do this, because you have to do it, and then you have to look at whoever you're playing against and just be like, actually, I don't know if this is legal. Hold on a second, judge.
Nah, they're gonna
you-
call it. They're gonna immediately be like,
So
"Is this
I've
what's
never
gonna
done a
happen?"
throw. So how does the throw of the powder keg work? Which direction do I throw it?
It goes directly.
Directly
Oh,
away.
he missed all of it. It's directly away. So you need to go in front of the powder keg, turn around, and then chuck that bad boy.
Okay.
Spacing doesn't matter anymore anyway, so what's the difference?
Exactly.
True.
But yeah, we've already discussed this. You missed out. There's two things that happen. Sorry for all you viewers. Taylor decided to step away. Blame him. One, they freak out, and within 7 days, there's a memorandum released that says you cannot throw the flag, right? And it'll be called the Ice King rule. We fuck with that. Two,
We fuck with that.
defenses becomes the number one taken command card, which then drives Sapper to become the number two taken command card. So you have one
Just to
list for
stop the
defenses
shenanigans.
and one list with Sapper, pretty much guaranteed. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I foresee only greatness out of this, but you have to pull
Like I
it
said,
off.
there is no possible way this could end poorly, and you really just need to do it, for the memes.
Yeah, for all you Matt Mercer fans out there, which I know you're out there, who's not a Matt Mercer fan, it's like
Preach.
Fluffernutter. No structural damage. It's the only way I can see this playing out.
I'm going to my SR pod right now, and I'm going to message my team to be like, "Hey, change one of my lists."
And if you throw this flag, you better send me a picture of the result of you chucking this bad boy.
I will
if
try
you
my
want to be
best.
a real hero, if you want to be a real hero, because it's a team event, you need to share this information with your team and have them also
Yeah,
change their lists. And
The
do
beauty
this.
of this
Oh,
is
yeah.
I'm driving up with my teammate for 6 hours. I'm gonna tell him
explain
to.
it to him.
Does Signar have any open fists, Jax? I'll tell him to do this too.
Oh, probably.
Yeah,
Okay,
the Courser, the punching spike is an open fist.
You
Oh,
need to
boom,
explain
everybody
this
takes
to
that
him
already.
like Charlie Day trying to explain that Pepe Sylvia doesn't exist. That's how you need to explain this.
I'm telling him to also edit his list now too.
Yeah. There is no such thing as a flag. because they're going to be in the kill zone. Just chuck the bad boys.
No, funny thing, if everyone starts taking powder kegs, you run to your opponents and throw it in their kill zone.
They can never square up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude.
This is wonderful.
I think there's 0 negatives to the strategy. Not only are you going to call, or is it going to be an absolute mindfuck to whoever happened. Like, if this shit happened to me and I watched you throw the flag, I'm losing the game. Just because I'm going to be so fucking confused as to what just happened. That it's really just going to get in my head. You're going to be living there rent free. Be like, could he do that? Is that even allowed?
I do a lot of things rent free.
The best part of all of this is you get to move your opponent's flag, so you can guarantee it's going to get there and then chuck it back at them.
Oh dear.
Yeah, dude. I am liking where this is going.
Powder
Shout out to
keg.
SFG. I don't know if you were intended this, if this is just your 5D chess play. If it is, damn, you guys are awesome. You guys are so big brained.
Oh god, I'm dying over here.
We have no idea if this is really how it's going to work.
Yeah, let the record show that
No.
our current interpretation doesn't mean shit. We're not lawyers. We did not write this tech data. But per 4 goobers who have 0 reason for you to believe us, our interpretation reads that you theoretically could do this.
So somebody needs to be a hero tonight and like message Travis or somebody at SFG.
No. We have to do this at the con.
No. This happens at the tournament. That's where this gets figured out. Come on,
well,
everybody
hopefully Seth
knows
doesn't listen to any of this.
Seth, if you're listening, don't be a hero. Don't be a hero.
Does Seth like any of you guys enough to listen to this? Because he doesn't like me enough to listen to my
I
stuff.
told my teammate, hey, are you bringing defenses? He's like, yeah. I'm like, bring a powder keg. He's like, oh? I'm like, just one. Trust.
Yeah. Don't, to all you
He's like, can't tell him.
out there, you're a TSA agent. I'm here. Don't be a hero. You know what I mean?
Oh my god. All right.
Yeah, for legal reasons, that was a joke. For legal reasons.
For the NSA guy listening to this, all of this talk about throwing powder kegs, totally a joke.
This is a
definitely
game,
not
dude.
terroristic activity. It's fine.
Yeah, dude. It's not even Minecraft. It's a tabletop game. Oh man.
There you go. There's the proof. I did it.
I love it.
I love every
He said,
part of
"Oh, you better explain this to him after, dude. He's not going to sleep tonight. Just tell him. Just all you need to do."
No,
is
I have to wait till tomorrow to tell him.
Throw period the period flag period. That's it. And then if he messages you again, just don't talk to him until you pick him up.
That's it. He has to sleep on this. It has to be like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Oh my god.
God, this is going to be great. You guys are either going to sweep the tournament with this, or it's going to sandbag the team. And if it sandbags the team,
beauty of this is I can test this in the IG. Like,
oh yeah,
I could test this in our ones tournament.
Oh, do you want to test it in the ones tournament? Then you give away the secret.
I know who's in my pod,
in the team's tournament, dude.
This is coming out like tomorrow,
yes.
So.
Coming out
we're gonna have like a collective of 20 views.
I was gonna say depending if you guys get more than.
Oh, my clickbait title is just gonna send us to the fucking moon, brother.
Yeah, it better be a flag that looks like a comet. Just have like a
I have to edit the thumbnail now.
Have the meteor that's killing the dinosaurs, right? And then it's just got a flag on it, and maybe a jack in the corner.
No. Here's what I do. I get the throw, I get the open fist, and then a flag. And I put them next to each other, and that's it. I don't do any explaining.
Hold on, I've got it. Don't judge my artistic capabilities.
Oh god.
I'm gonna use this. Just send this to me when you're making the thumbnail tonight.
Oh wait, that's not dusk colors. Hold on, I'm on it. Isn't your dusk still yellow?
Yeah, neon cyberpunk yellow.
All right. Well, this is as yellow as you're getting.
I'll give you the hex code if you want.
No, we're not going that deep.
For everybody not watching, and because this is not recorded, he is currently in MS Paint making our thumbnail.
This is great. I'm looking at this just being like, oh, all right,
There's a dinosaur.
this is the best.
That's the best drawn Eidolon in just how they act in game for me.
Now, can we get a Menoth dinosaur just to really get people going?
Ooh, yeah.
Oh yeah, hold on. I've got the maroon.
It's Menoth now. Look, it's maroon, I swear.
What's I don't hold on. I got this. What is it? Is that right? Am I doing this right? I don't
That's
play
close
Menoth,
enough.
so
Actually, that's
it's
really
close
good.
enough, baby.
Oh, it's a Menifex. I was like, did the dinosaur get a tattoo of a stick figure?
No, obviously it joined a religion. That's what dinosaurs do. Come on, Kyle.
There we
get
go.
your
That's
shit
all you
together.
need, baby. We're good.
Is it past your bedtime, Kyle? Are you
No.
Past my bedtime, I'm getting yelled at.
Yeah, it's like 20 after 10. Don't you have a bedtime story to go tell somebody? Like a child?
Oh no, she's been asleep for a while.
Yeah, so if we can, I'll send you the rest of the things, Ross. If you want to go ahead and make a thumbnail for the night, you totally can.
Yeah, bro. I'm gonna give this to ChatGPT and tell it to make me a war machine with a comment coming from the hounds. Shout out to chat. You say that, I'm about to upload it right now. You know War Machine?
Are you familiar
see,
with the
this-
game War Machine by Steamforge Games?
Yeah, I just type. Look, I taped it like a caveman. Chat knows me. When chat takes over, it's gonna remember me. That's the goal. It's thinking.
Well, while you're doing that, do we want to finish off the packet?
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My bad. Sorry, I got excited about the
we
whole throwing
all
objectives
that
into
was
the
a
kill
tangent
box.
that went off, and it was perfect.
How this goes.
Just the next part after that, it just goes over modeling, painting, and conversions. It's all pretty standard from previous packets. You know, they don't want you using other,
Other
IP
IPs.
stuff.
Yeah, pretty
That's
classic.
the basics. The proxies you don't want to be using stuff like that.
Here's a question, and I can't look at this because my phone died, and I don't refuse to open it up on my computer. I'm lazy. If you 3D print something to convert something, right? It's
Mhm.
technically legal now, right? Because it's
Okay,
all
it's
3D
legal
printed
as
anyway.
no. It has to be the majority of the volume of the model. The majority of the volumes, more than half, 51% of the model has to be original parts. Now, and the model has to be easily recognizable as to what it is. That's at least my current understanding of the reading.
That's how it reads
But
to me.
51% of the model has to be original, OG.
Yep, it says the majority of a converted model's volume must be composed of parts from SFG models. To avoid confusion, the conversion should include iconic elements of the model that is intended to represent.
Ooh, wait! It says it has to be 51% from SFG.
I was going to
models?
say, what about privateer price mini crates?
Oh, hold on, hold on. This is going to open up some
Yeah,
interesting
wait a minute.
opportunities because
your
oh
punches
boy,
up
are there a
with
bunch
the-
of board games that SFG makes that all come with models. You could just do like
Ooh,
a
wait a
fucking
minute.
Dark
Yeah,
Souls
read that
Man
again.
of War. Let's go.
Somebody read that again.
The majority of
Majority
the
of
converted
converted
volume
mo-
must be composed of parts from Steamforge Games models to avoid confusion.
Okay,
Oh,
here's where
snap.
they're gonna get you though. Here's where they're gonna get you though. Right underneath that, or 2 or 3 bullets underneath that, it says that it has to be easily recognizable as what it is. And they even list out like if you have Magnus and then you want to use him as Magnus the Unstoppable, you can't
Yeah.
because it's not easily like I can't tell right away that it's Magnus the Unstoppable.
Correct.
So, like, while you could in friendly games, and technically it's legal, it would still be illegal in the sense that I can't tell what your model is right out the gate.
And also, if you have conversions, it is always a good rule of thumb to ask your opponent, hey, this is my conversion. Are we on an understanding of that this is my conversion? This is what it represents. If there's any problems, you call the TO. TO decides. So if you have a cool converted model, and this is kind of like with card games too, I've always had this rule of thumb. If you have an alt card that's like one that you like, or like a different art, or it has a different like one's in Japanese, one's in English, because the English is original, you bring both to the tournament. You play with the Japanese one because both opponents know what the card does. But if your opponent has a hissy fit, not saying they would, you could just swap in the original. That is a general rule of thumb I've always done with like conversions or card games is I have the one I like, and I might have a copy of the second one. I know for models that's hard, but that's just something to think about.
I really want somebody to convert an entire like Dark Souls style army now.
I don't know, it would be kind of cool. But I don't know unless everybody at the tournament gets real cool about some stuff real fast that they're going to let that one go.
It might work for old Umbre. We don't know what they look like yet. Yeah? Huh?
Now we're cooking.
No, Zoo Menoth, but with the Horizon Zero Dawn dinosaurs they have.
Oh, let's go!
Hey, there it is. There it is.
It's already there in plain sight. We just haven't seen it yet.
They've been planning for this the entire time. The entire
Yeah.
buyout was just
Right.
for this.
Chat
Son of a
is
bitch, they're
failing me.
playing the long
Sorry.
game.
It keeps trying to do like an Imperial Knight. I'm like, bro, not even close, man.
Talk about 5D chess. SFG's been getting us the whole time.
At the end of the packet, it goes over, to keep bringing it back to the packet a little bit while he's doing our chat GPT things, it goes over scatter terrain, at least one hazard per table, do not place terrain within 3 inches of the board. It kind of goes over terrain as a whole in the packet. It does a good job of breaking that down. And then it has a very pretty picture of the Maelstrom.
Yep. Packet also talks about sportsmanship. Basically, don't be a jerk.
Yeah, that's pretty classic though. I feel like that's been in for a hot minute.
Dude, what a thumbnail.
Right on.
Oh yeah, you can see what I'm doing? Yeah, hold on. I might have to do this in Photoshop, but that's all right. We got the dinosaur, and that's ultimately what matters.
Halfway there. Yeah, I mean, this, going back to what we're actually talking about, the key for sportsmanship has always just been, I mean, in the simplest form, don't be a dick, but also, like, don't be weird. Like, you don't expect other people are gonna have all the same stuff you do and the same little mannerisms that you get from, like, your locals. So if you're sitting there going, well, yeah, but we always play it this way, that doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah, also
not
once
what the
you
rules
call
say, shut up.
things, like if you have a funny nickname for one of the characters, say his real name, or if your opponent asks, hey, that, like clarify that. If you like the way you treat your tokens is like different than how they understand, be understanding if they ask you more questions than you maybe normally get asked. Because like how you treat your tokens, how you play things out, your locals might understand how you play, but the person in the tournament is not from your locals.
Yep. The easy one of, hey, this idiot goes here. Like, okay, which idiot? Like, what are we talking about?
Idiot number 2. Who's idiot number 2?
And that goes to what I see with higher level players. They literally talk through their turn and exactly what they're doing and go through the intent.
Yeah, and playing on intent is huge.
It's also important to not overstep things, right? I think that's part of it that doesn't get discussed enough. But like simple things like, okay, this jack is going to run here, and somebody starts moving it. Don't be that guy who's just like, well, did you proxy that? Like, it's an open lane with nothing in the way. No, I didn't proxy it because I don't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
why?
I think that's what makes our community so great, right? Like War Machine's very different from a lot of tabletop games that I've played. I know we've talked about it a lot on previous episodes, but the thing that I think sets us apart from everyone else is that the War Machine community is one of like good culture and good honor, right? Like that's, don't be a dick. You know, you're playing to intent. You want to play against your opponent at their best of their ability because otherwise you don't get better, right? And winning's not the end goal, or it shouldn't be the end goal, end all be all of the reason you play this game. You know, make the hobby better, make the community better. You know, make sure that this is a legacy you want to leave so that people that come after you keep this tradition going. That's what makes this last.
And it's what's going to help us grow.
Right.
Which I am seeing more and more people coming and back and starting.
Yeah, that's my favorite part about War Machine. Like when we were at Nova, we had some people show up and they're like, yo, never even seen this before. This game looks super dope. And then people were like, yeah, man, do you want to play? We got some armies over here. Just hop on in. We'll play a quick 30-point game. Just sit down. We'll teach you everything. We got everything you need. That rocks. And
yeah,
we need to keep that going. Not I want to make that more, not less.
Yeah, the growth has been super cool. Like, especially even you look at like the events at like Captain Con sold out immediately. Admittedly, they also did that last year, but like almost immediately sold out. Adepticon immediately sold out. And did it get the second time now?
I think they did. They were. I know they had events twice. I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know they sold out and then went, hey, we're adding events, and like I know a bunch of them immediately sold out. Like the keynote sold out almost immediately. I think ATC still has a couple openings, but I don't know for sure. Don't quote me on that. I think like the IG sold out immediately. Like
the IG sold out again. I know that for sure.
Yeah, like that kind of thing is super cool to see when you look at like last year and Adepticon, like the ATC was 7 teams. And I think
the year before that was 2 teams, wasn't it?
Or 3.
3.
It might have been 3. But like, yeah, it's super cool to see it go from like, oh, this is, I don't want to say struggling, but like people are looking at it like, I don't know if this is going to stick around. I don't know if I want to invest my time into it, to just like, no, I'm going to invest my time into it because like things are just selling.
Yeah, the game's
I expect
real.
I expect Boker. I think the tickets go on sale in beginning of February. Like, I've already talked to a bunch of my locals, and I'm like, yeah, when this goes on sale, you need to be online like when it happens and buy a ticket immediately. Buy like 3 because we're gonna have enough people to fill them.
You hear that, Ross? We gotta be ready.
Yeah, I'm always ready.
Yep, tickets go on sale February 15th for the Boker Brawl.
Probably will.
I expect these things are going to keep selling out, and you're going to need to like be real quick and be paying attention. That's super cool to see.
I know Nova will be the same way as well. It also, I would say for events, when events sell very quickly and sell out, it looks good for the event. Like the faster they sell, and if they like the event, like Nova, for example, when they sell all their tickets and they're like, hey, we need more space, and it because like we sold out in X amount of hours, they're like, Nova themselves are like, oh, you need more tables. They will prioritize you getting you more space first before other events like that trickle out.
Yeah, which goes against the normal historic War Machine tendency to not buy tickets ahead of time and wait till a week before and then be like, well, what do you mean you guys can't get more space? Like, you waited until a week before the event, bro. Everything's already sold. Like, they already divvied up space. What?
Yeah, they already...
Yeah, that was something I didn't understand at my first con. So, like, I get where people come from that, right? Like, not that it's, like, correct, but when I first did it, I was like, yo, why, we're already here. They want people to play the narrative. Why wouldn't they charge? Or, like, why would they charge for it? Everybody's already here. Like, just play. And then that's when, like, I was talking with Taylor, my first game con. I have no fucking clue what I'm doing, right? And we were talking with Taylor, we were talking with Erica, a couple other people, and they're like, yeah, like the ticket sales are what actually gets us the rooms, right? So like they're not gonna give a room to us if we can't sell tickets. Like as much as we don't want to charge or whatever, because like yeah, we just love playing the game. Like we can't justify keeping the room we're in if we can't prove that we're
using it.
Money gained to the con, right? Because at the end of the day, the con's a business. Like they're not here to just, as much as they hopefully like War Machine and hopefully like everything else that comes to the con, they can't justify giving us the biggest rooms or giving us the the grandiose best play spaces if we can't like back that up, right? And so like yeah, get your tickets, get them early. If you're interested in going, highly recommend. The cons are fantastic. The War Machine community at the cons is fantastic. It's a great group of people. But yeah, get in, get early. And that's what's going to allow the War Machine
did you
convention,
say Bokor, February 15th?
to grow up.
Yeah,
tickets go on sale February 15th. According to the countdown, it is 17 days, 1 hour, 57 minutes.
The day after Valentine's Day. Don't forget to take your significant other, if you have one, out on Valentine's Day. And then after that, use it as an excuse to get yourself some Bokor tickets.
And then if you don't have anybody,
just make sure you save yourself $100 to get your weekend pass for the Boker Brawl.
Yeah. Where is Bokor being hosted this year?
New Jersey.
New Jersey again.
Oh, yes.
It's like a 6.5 hour drive for us, Ross. It's not too bad.
No, it's not bad. When is Bokor?
May, right?
End of
May 2nd through the 4th.
Oh.
There you go. Yeah, if you're gonna go on a completely semi-related tangent, if you're gonna go to any event like War Machine event, highly recommend Nova, the Bokur Brawl, and Adepticon. Adepticon is definitely more of like
The big con.
multiple things in a convention, and like so is Nova. Like Bokur is just straight up War Machine all the time. Like Adepticon has a bunch of really great players and a bunch of really great play space, and Travis runs awesome event, and then Erica and Andy and the entire team for Tried and True runs a shit ton of stuff at Nova. I haven't been, but I have heard that it's just fantastic.
It rocks.
So, like,
It's so great.
It
Yeah, it
rocks.
rocks. It was
if
a
you're gonna
great
go to
game.
any, those are the 3 that I would recommend. Being like, yeah, no, hit these 3 first.
If you're on the East Coast, they're pretty easy to get to. If you're on the East Coast, if you're not on the East Coast, they're slightly less easy to get to.
Well,
Does
Adepticon's
the West
in
Coast have
Wisconsin.
events?
Okay.
Yeah,
well,
are there-
far away, but
Yeah, say, are there any like
West Coast would be
Conventions on the
LVO would be
West
their big
Coast?
one.
I don't know.
Yeah.
is
So
Kingdom
Cal
Con still a
Open-
thing?
No, Gale stopped doing it, and Kingdom Con died.
I know
Las Vegas
Um,
Open. Is the big
Las
one.
Vegas Open, yeah.
There's LVO, the SoCal Open, Dragon's Fury, I think, is in Oregon. I know Washington / whatever part of Canada that's in. Mario does a bunch of stuff over there.
And then there's one in Colorado.
know.
I know there's at least one. There's a good Colorado community that plays, and they have a bigger events there as well.
There's nothing to the size of a convention other than Las Vegas Open on the West Coast. Like this year, I just finished talking to Tyson about a lot of these things. They had 5,000, I think, total attendees at LVO this year. The Warhammer 40K event was 1,400 tickets sold. That particular one. So there's nothing else that size on the West Coast. It's the only one. And I think something like Adepticon and Captain Con and things like that are larger than that. So,
By the way, welcome everyone.
oh, thanks.
Mario from Shoptalk has arrived. He was our surprise guest.
I tried to segue that in for you there, Mario.
Glad to be
I was
here.
just saying
It
nice things about you.
turns out it's my first time on a podcast, so
Oh, well, welcome.
all right, should we hit him with it?
Oh,
Oh,
You missed
yeah.
all
dear.
of the nonsense already.
All right,
He came,
all right.
he came
hold
in
on.
at the
Mario,
end.
what are your opinions on throwing flags? We'll leave it at that.
Well, let's back up. Let's back up. Are defenses
Terrain
pieces?
I mean, according to the rules, they are.
All right, perfect. Now imagine this.
No,
You're
hang on.
at a
We have
tournament.
to hear this decision first.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I haven't read the packet that intimately yet, so I'm not sure I know how to answer this question.
So theoretically,
It's
so
not
here's
a trap.
the
Yeah, it's not a
situation.
trap.
Right now, flags can go to scatter terrain. That's a new thing.
Flags
Is it
can go
re-
to anything.
Oh, if the terrain piece that they're representing goes away, is that what you're talking
No.
about?
So what we're looking at is in the scenario color guard. So scenario number
Yep.
1.
Yep.
You set up a flag, and your opponent sets up a flag, and then every turn after the second turn, you get to move your opponent's flag to another terrain piece within 5 inches.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting. Okay.
If you take defenses, those defenses are qualified, they say it right on their thing, as rough terrain or obstacles, both of which are terrain features. So hypothetically,
No, let's
you
ask.
can take a flag.
Can the flag go to the
and
defenses?
potentially-
Is that your what do you how do you feel about that?
Was that me?
Yeah, you.
I think it just logged me out for a sec, so sorry.
Oh, you're good. So
I think
So-
I just ruined your.
no, it's okay. Basically, a flag. Can a flag get so because of color guard how it moves the objectives throughout the terrain piece because it goes every turn it moves to the next terrain piece. Can a flag get moved to a defense?
Oh, interesting. Does it stipulate that?
It doesn't. It
It
just
says it
says
moves
that
to
it can
another
go
terrain
to
piece
a
within
terrain
5 inches.
piece
And are defenses listed as terrain pieces?
per
They
the
sure
defense
are.
card. Yes.
Interesting.
Indeed.
So then you transfer it to a powder keg and then throw the powder keg.
yes,
Oh, he knows
exactly.
exactly where we're going with this.
Seems good. Yeah, sure. That seems like a 5% sort of thing, but sure.
Well,
you
you
get to
say that
poke
it's
somebody
happening.
in the face with a powder keg, or you get to pick it up and just launch it back towards your own deployment zone.
Yeah, seems good. Don't you you have to throw it at a model though? You can't just
Nope,
throw it.
it's just
Nah,
directly away.
Directly away.
Oh, interesting. I thought you had to throw at models now, and you couldn't target your own models.
Well, you're not
might
targeting
be
anything,
part
you're
of
just
the-
chucking it.
I
Hmm.
would look at the rules, but my phone's dead. But I'm pretty sure
Well,
it just says directly
That
away.
seems super dumb. You're gonna catch somebody on that one day, and then you'll be laughing all the way to the bank.
That's what we're hoping to find out this tournament season.
Sure.
At that point, I don't even think you care if you lose
Medium
the
or
game.
larger
Just like, yeah,
models
no,
Yeah,
I
that's
get
what
to
I
do
throw
said, it
power
doesn't
attack
matter at that
weapon
point.
quality can target this terrain feature with a throw power attacks. This terrain feature is automatically hit by the attack. For purposes of resolving a throw, this terrain feature is considered a medium base model. This terrain features is moved 2 additional inches when thrown. A model hit by this terrain feature when it is thrown suffers collateral damage. Does not say anything about targeting. It gets targeted by the throw. The throw happens, which throw is directly away. If it happens to hit an enemy model,
it also does a POW 15.
Yeah.
Sure.
I like where this is going.
Every part of this is dumb.
Yes.
This is the
is.
wonderful thing about putting out brand new documents is that you think that nothing can go wrong, and then some nerd finds something.
No,
and
yeah,
breaks it open.
every MFR I've ever written, like any memorandum I've ever written for an organization, and I'll go and like give it up for the first edit, and they're like, "So you're telling me I can do this?" Like,
Yeah.
no, man. Where
Damn
would
it.
you ever infer that? And then they're like, "Right here. This is where I would infer that." I'm like, "Oh no,
you silly
Damn it.
goober.
That's why I said probably not the intent, but
but it could."
you never know.
So I
This
have
is
now
written.
changed my Captain Con list to have a powder keg in it now.
Perfect.
Yeah, we're gonna find out this tournament season, coming to a tournament near you.
You
have anything in your list that has an open fist?
I have an Eidolon.
Oh yeah.
Nice. What do you have? What did you put on an Eidolon with an open fist?
The Null Blade.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was an open fist. Awesome.
Yeah.
Seems good.
Yeah, my Eidolon.
Can I ask
Go for it.
Can I ask a question about what you guys were talking about with the proxy rules? Does that seem significantly different than last year, other than the difference between privateer versus SFG in the language?
No, not significantly. I think it
Yeah.
opens up a couple more conversions just because of like the technical amount of like SFG board games and other things. If you have
I
like
see.
Guild Ball minis and stuff, you can technically probably slot things in as long as it's distinct. It might open it up a bit. I don't think it's enough where it's going to make any kind of difference, especially with like a bunch of the models being 3D printed. It's really hard to like hit bash
up.
and pose them when they're all one piece. So like,
Mm-hmm.
if anything, I think you might just see like some comically oversized swords or axes. You're gonna get like Wolf walking around with like the hammer from Smaug or something, and it's just like, oh no.
They don't they do the RuneScape game?
Did they?
Hang on.
I just want to see Wolf with like Ornstein's hammer or Smaug's, whoever it is. Like
They
that
do the
just make me happy.
RuneScape game. So you could I want to see Wolf with a dragon dagger, a poison tip dragon dagger.
Don't they do Monster Hunter as well?
Yes.
Ooh, there could be some fun shit there.
I know my VPN's set too far away. Don't worry about it. SFG, stop.
Well, real quick, have you looked through the packet too much? Like, have you looked at the scenarios?
Yeah, I looked over it today. I think that they're
do you think
Go for it.
payload is still going to not be played?
So I still don't love the fact that the terrain zones are so like the where the terrain can be placed is so wide. Because I still think that you're dealing with 10 to 12 inches of variance between where the terrain goes on the table.
Yep.
At 3 points, it feels like it is circumvent. Now, instead of going 8 points ahead, I believe you can only go 5 points ahead, right?
That sounds
I
like
think
a
you can
That
only
sounds right.
score 5 points in a turn. Because the 30 millimeter objective is gone, right?
Correct.
Yes, you can score what? Both 50s, both 40s.
I mean, realistically, though, you're going to score your 50 and your 40, and then the 3 points for the payload, right?
That'd only
So
be 7 then.
You'd score okay.
7 max.
So yeah, but realistically, you're only going to score 5, right?
Likely.
So
Five, maybe
whereas
6,
before, if you scored the payload and the 30 millimeter and the 40 millimeter and the 50 millimeter, you were scoring 8 points, and that was pretty much like you couldn't come back from that. That was an automatic win, pretty much.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a little bit less of a automatic win, which is good. I still don't love that you will get tables where one player is going to score their objective and the other player is going to struggle.
Yep.
And that feels like a poor situation to be in. And I don't think so I made a whole bunch of tables for War Table. I think it was 15 tables that I made. And I put payload on, and I did it without looking at payload specifically. And I put payload on all of those tables that I put down, and over half of them, you can score 8 points under the old scenario system as the second player pretty much immediately. So it's not hard for TOs to build tables that run into situations where there's a huge scoring gap that can happen. And that just, it's hard, right? Especially when you're running an event. Like at a game night, right? Like you're just playing with somebody, it's not so bad, right? Because you can set up your table in such a way that it's not going to be super difficult for somebody to have a good game. But when you're at an event and somebody has to set up 8, 10, 16, 30 tables, it's likely that a lot of those tables are going to be challenging for that scenario still, and there's going to be a big scoring gap. So I still think that it's going to be something that people take a second look at, but I like the 3 points better than 5 a lot more.
Secondary question. Which scenario is your favorite?
Scenario is my favorite. I like trench warfare, but I dislike playing into guns. So there's that.
I'm right there with you.
I still think Wolves is the best scenario in the packet.
Oh no, not what's the best. Which is your favorite?
Well, that's my favorite because it's the best scenario.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's fine then. I just want to make sure we're on the same.
I'm a simple man.
Yeah, we know.
I think our look at that thumbnail. Oh, that's too good.
I love Photoshop. That's the best $20 I ever spent.
Yep, I will be using that real quick. Thank you very much.
Thumbnail from now on.
This one's so normally my podcast thumbnails are like all the same. It says FrostCast, little thing of what we're doing. This one's just gonna be like,
yeah, dude, new
random.
meta confirmed ?
That's gonna be on the thumbnail, and then the title is gonna be Throwable Flags ?
Perfect.
You are going to have so many people hopping in saying, "What are you talking about? It doesn't work this way."
Don't tell me what I can't.
Yeah, well, they can't show me in the rules where it says I can't.
Yeah, but here's the thing: they're gonna have to listen for like an hour. That's a lot of listening time.
That's a lot of rambling. Yeah, look, they're gonna have to listen to us. We went either way.
So many angry posts on the Discord because of this.
Can't wait. I'm very excited.
Joke's on them.
Jokes
I
on
can't
when.
read.
I wanted this.
You can't. If those kids would be real upset if they could read right now. That's me.
Just gonna have to mute Discord for a couple days.
You have Discord unmuted. What are you, a sociopath?
Kinda.
True.
I love it. That's big.
So,
I have
Ryan,
so
are
many
you-
Discords.
Ryan, are you excited about Lilith or what?
Oh, I'm super hyped for her. She's gonna be friggin' great. There's nothing quite like Wyverns getting better for some god awful reason, and also now giving them run and gun. Like, cool. I'm in. Let's go.
So yeah, we can go into
good.
that. Kind of includes the SR25, and we can always loop back to it. But we can go into anything else you guys want to know.
Just real quick at the end. Just for TOs, it looks like they are coming out with official prize kits for SR.
Hooray!
Which kind of rocks, yeah. I like that.
I think that's good. Maybe they'll bring the coins back.
Kyle,
I
Ooh.
doubt they'll do the coins. They're doing that is so expensive.
Yeah, coins are not cheap. As a coin connoisseur, them baby's expensive.
Kyle, do you want to go through what the policy's been for the last year or so from SFG with prize support for events?
So SFG, like when they took over, I only ran one event since they took over. They did offer like 30% off on their store for like
That's
prize
something.
support. I mean, it's something, but that's putting the cost on the TO in the front, not knowing if you're going to have all those players committed.
Yeah, which is probably alright if you're running like a convention level kind of thing. Like if you're running, if you're Seth running Bokur, like it's probably pretty easy to be like, alright, this is sold out every year. Probably gonna sell out again. Like I'll put a little money into this, knowing you'll get it back.
Yeah, and his budget is a lot higher than, say, somebody that's running an event for 8 players or 15 players or something
Yeah,
like that.
at your game store.
And then
yeah,
you have
local
to
one
have-
where it's like, oh yeah, we have. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was say you have to have you can't run like a free SR on the weekends. You have to be like, hey, if you want prize support, buy-ins X amount of dollars. That's how much we spent at the store. Here's our prize support.
Yeah,
Well,
that's gonna suck the first time. You're like, okay, you ask people, and it's like, oh hey, yeah, we can get 8 or 10 people. They all committed, and then you spend the money on it, and then 2 weeks before, and 5 or 6 of them
I
drop
think
out. And
if
you're just
you're
like,
gonna be a-
well, shit.
Here's what I would do, right? If I'm a TO and I'm gonna run like a local tournament and I'm expecting 10-ish players, right? Set it to whatever. Try to get a couple different prizes, right? Your first place, second place, all that good stuff. And then have the prepaid before you're gonna sell tickets early, sell them often, try to collect what you can before, and that way you're not gonna eat that cost, right? Like ultimately at the end of the day, it's going to be kind of a gamble, but if you're worried about it and you wanted to do something on the like lower end, we've seen at tournaments where like some of the players will come in and bring like, hey, I've got a bunch of extra boxes at the house, I'll donate to some for prize support and stuff like that, right? So
yeah, so
that's always an option.
I mean, Privateer, when the Mark IV changeover happened, they were very generous with sending out stuff like some Mark IV models, some of the older stuff that they had sitting in the warehouse. They were very generous with that, which great. I understand when the changeover happened, they're not going to have that stock built
a lot
up
of it could
or
just be the
anything like
company
that.
establishing themselves.
But at the end of the day, I feel like most of us are running events in game stores. Hopefully, it's more the conventions or the people who don't have that game store where you can get store credit for doing it. So it makes it a little more difficult. Like the food machine I ran, I did it at a brewery. So while part of your entry got you a beer token and stuff, there's no price support unless I'm getting it.
Yeah, like you're collecting the money and then you're paying for that. Gets like complicated, and if somebody has a hissy fit, then there's a whole other problem.
Well, like, here's at the end of the day, right? Like, it is what it is. We could see it change too, right? That might have just been for that tournament, as
Or like this
SFG
year,
has
that
some
year.
reps. Like this year, they're rolling out a lot of stuff as they begin to kind of like acquire stock in stuff. You could see that where it's like, hey, it's the end of the year. We have all this stuff. We'll give out some stuff next year. We'll give out some stuff at the end of this year. Like, I don't know that I would say that I would anticipate seeing that, but at the same time, like, you could, right? Like, it's not unbelievable to say that.
Yeah, because
So-
they're
So
still ramping up.
I'll
Go ahead.
no, it's go ahead, finish your thought, and then I'll jump in because I'm running a big event in 2 weeks, so
Oh,
I can talk
I
about
was-
what's going on here.
I was gonna say it's probably because like they've been having problems with like just getting models out to people, let alone like sending people stuff. And that's like maybe they're just waiting to get their production line in order as the takeover, not the takeover, the turnover happened. And go ahead, you're good. That was it.
Yeah, no, it's certainly, and it depends on where you are in the world too, right? There's certain parts of the United States that can get product within a couple weeks of ordering, and there's other places that are waiting months or can't get product at all. So it really depends on where you are. So just to talk a little bit about what has happened in the past. So right at the changeover, just like Kyle said, pretty much right at the changeover for Mark IV, we started running events here, and we sort of caught wind that Privateer was sending out prize support, and what they were asking for at the time was shipping cost. And then they would ask, how much prize support do you want us to send? And the more we send you, the more the shipping cost is going to be. And then you would pay for the shipping cost, and they would send a bunch of Mark III product. And there was a bunch of there was a whole bunch of like Denegra 3s and Convergence Colossals and things like that. So there was a lot of stuff that I'm sure was sitting around on the shelves. It was great. It was very generous of them to just hand that stuff to us. But at some point in Mark IV, people were less interested in those sorts of things as prize support. So we started getting stuff, and it just wasn't being given away. People weren't taking it at the events. So, and then when SFG took over, they had a policy where basically they'd give you a discount if you wanted to order a bunch of stuff for an event, which is great. It's amazing, but because we had such challenges getting stuff here, it wasn't an option that we decided to go with. I'm running a 32-person event coming up in 2 weeks, and what we did to encourage ticket sales early, because I'm doing it independently. We don't have a game store that can handle 32 players here, so I booked a hall out in the suburbs, and it's a pretty decent price for the hall, but most of the ticket sales are going towards hall rental and insurance, and there's a few other costs and things like that associated with parking and a few other things. But what I've done, because a lot of those costs come before event day, so collecting money on the day is a bit challenging because you have to invest a bunch of money ahead of time. What I did was I put out a whole bunch of Facebook posts and things like that for the event, and I said, okay, if you pay by this date, it's $40. If you pay past this date, it's $45. And then enforcing that so that there's money coming in before you have to pay for some of those costs, because people are encouraged because they don't want to pay the extra money. And I actually just had a conversation with Tyson about this, talking about LVO, and basically he said the same thing, is that if I have to reserve space, especially for these big cons. They're fighting for space, and at a certain point, at a certain date, the convention says, hey, you only have this many signups. You're going to lose space now because all these other games have more signups than you do. And if you want that space, you have to buy your tickets early, because it shows the TO that there's interest, and then they can take that to the convention and say, hey, we have this much interest, therefore we deserve this much space. So buy your tickets early. It helps everybody out. It makes so that there's more prize support that can be given out, because there's more money early, and the TOs know how many people are coming, so they know how much to buy, basically. And some of the things that we've been doing over here, I've just got a brand new 3D printer, and I'm printing objectives to give away. So that's going to be part of the prize support this year, and that's like, I've been taking money from the entry fees for materials, but I'm not charging for time, basically, right? So that's something that I can do to add to prize support that's not costing me a lot of money. So things like that, there's command cards that you can print off from the Facebook group. There's a whole bunch of documents up there that are for free. You can print those off, cut them out, laminate them, give those away as prize support. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do that's not models, especially if you have people traveling, because if you are giving away store credit, if people are traveling from far away, they're not necessarily going to be able to spend money very easily at the store that they're traveling to. So, some thoughts.
No, I like it.
Right
Yeah.
on.
I also think
Yeah,
what would be
absolutely.
cool is like what's the command cards, because now we all have like our command cards per like faction. You could probably somebody will probably make like personalized like Dusk faction ones, and you could print out like a bunch of them, and then as you like go through tournaments, the Dusk player is going to pick up a Dusk one, but then you only have to reprint the Dusk one, and then maybe next tournament you have a Khador player that wins, so they pick up the Khador one.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what I've done is and like all of this stuff is proprietary, right? All the images and the command card, the language and stuff like that. That's all proprietary. So you don't want to be charging money for that, but giving it away as prize support is like that. That's you're not selling it. You're just giving it away. So using privateer press and SFG images it's not so much of a no when you're creating something to give away as prize support. So
100%.
it's a cool way
Yeah.
to do it, I think.
Yeah, and just real quick, you sold out a 32-person tournament. That's
Yeah.
That
awesome.
rocks. That rocks, dude.
I am happy for you.
Yeah, so because here in the west coast of Canada, a lot of our WTC players this year are from British Columbia. They signed up for this event because they want practice. And the more people that we have sort of I call them apex players that are like super invested and that want to travel to events and want to go and want to be at events every single time. They're the players that you want to sort of lean on to bring in other people, because they're super jazzed, they're excited, and they're like they want to play. And even though it's challenging to play into some of these players sometimes, especially for newer players, a lot of times those players are also invested in teaching and onboarding new players as well. So and then the nice thing is that the US team, a lot of their players, I believe from Team 3 this year, is from Oregon. And Oregon is only a 6-hour drive from where we are. So we have Jeff Zach and we have Aaron Allen. Sean Hopkins as well, that are Team USA WGC players, and they travel up to our events as well. So we've got players from Oregon, we've got players from Washington, we've got players from Edmonton, which is the next province over. So we've got some folks that are flying in for this event. So yeah, we have quite a few players, not 32 players from our area. A lot of them are travelers from different parts of the Cascadia region. So
That's awesome.
No,
Anybody from
that's
Yeah,
awesome.
that rocks.
You're getting people traveling in for it, which is even better.
yeah, I'm pretty happy about this. This is the third year that we've run this event, and we've tried really hard to bring in resources from all over the place, getting good quality terrain, getting mats, not just playing on bare tables. Running large events can be challenging sometimes, right? You might have 3D terrain for two to four tables, but not for 16. So I've been printing like crazy, and then we're going to be slapping some paint on some of these trees and walls and stuff like that I've been printing. So
Don't paint those
my
explosions.
goal is they're going to be clouds for me, but my goal is to have 9 of those 16 tables covered in 3D terrain. So
That's gonna be awesome.
so
Are you going to be streaming anything? Or are you going to be recording anything?
Yes. Yeah, so I don't stream anything live, mostly because I've had some people come up to me post and say, "Hey, I don't really want that on the internet, and if you stream it live, it's not you can't do anything about it. Basically, it's out there." So I take video and then I post it to YouTube later. But yes, I would. My goal is to take video for 4 rounds and then have that up. So
Sweet.
That's awesome.
and we don't take video of top table. I just try and take an interesting matchup every round and just get people that are interested in being on video, as opposed to telling somebody, hey, you have to be on video. So if I don't get volunteers, then I'll approach somebody and say, hey, would you like to be on video this round? So
Nice. Yeah.
that way you don't get Kador versus Kador for 4 rounds in a row. So
I think
who would be running that?
we have a lot of Winter Corps players up here. It's a pretty popular army.
Is it because it's cold up there?
I was about to ask the same thing.
It's funny, we've talked about that before. Trollbloods and Kador are super, super popular up here in Vancouver.
Yeah, I think the East Coast popularity it seems to be Dusk and Brine Bloods.
Brine Bloods is big on the East Coast. Yeah.
So we have Luke. Luke played for Team Canada last year, and he's been playing Brine Bloods for the last year, but he's basically the only competitive player in the area that plays Brine Bloods. So I don't get a ton of practice into Brine Bloods.
You don't need it. They're not that good.
Damn, that's crazy. That's insane.
Says the guy who might
A lot of
have-
Orgoth, a lot of Dusk.
Says the guy who what?
I was gonna say, says the guy who's like Chimera. I feel like Chimera is gonna be the boogeyman this year. That's my hill I'm dying on this year.
No, we're like bottom of the pack still. It's fine. Don't worry about us.
Bottom of the
He
pack,
keeps saying
my
that, but he
ass.
has Lilith. He was just talking about doing Lilith silly shenanigans.
I got
It's okay.
stomped out by Chimera last time I played against them.
It's okay.
no.
You know that 94% chance Ryan can't roll it.
It's true.
It's true.
I used Lilith into Kyle, and I missed the crit stagger on a Maelstrom twice. 4 rolls, didn't hit it. So clearly this is bullshit, and we just need buffs.
Wait, you're not salty about this, Ryan, are you?
Oh no, not at all. I'm using this as a fun learning experience to remind people that you can't rely on crits and that Chimera is bad, and you should definitely not worry about anything we're doing over here. You'll be fine. Just don't worry about it.
Sweeps under the rug. Oh, how good he actually is. Don't worry about this. None of this. No. Don't worry about that.
Hey, I've never won anything. That's okay. That's not true. I've won local stuff. I've never won anything important. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
How many years did you go to WTC?
Just the one.
Just the one.
Just the one. And I wasn't even playing Chimera there. I was playing Legion, and I got to veil people, and it was awesome.
Is it just me or just every time somebody says WTC, I don't know what it is. I always think Wizards of the Coast.
That's WotC.
I know. I can't read, man. I'm just a silly goose.
It's because that O is small.
The O is small.
Nah, it's
Yeah,
gonna
no,
be Signar.
I would
Signar
say
this
I
year is gonna
personally
be the
have only
boogeyman.
gone to WTC once, and a bunch of people in my meta have only gone 3 or 4 times. We're fine here.
Fine.
Don't worry about it.
I just
Well,
play
yeah.
against Taylor with only half my army out, and then he just brings 2 cats minimum. This is his favorite game.
That's Dusk philosophy. You don't need anything
True.
else.
Nothing like a trial by fire, baby.
I'll have you know my Moraine list only has 1 unit of cats.
And I'll have you know you brought those knowing full well that I only had thralls, man.
Oh, yeah.
We
You
didn't
played
even
into
have
Hazaroth.
Gav.
Hazaroth
We-
Crix was interesting.
No, that was the last time when I was learning Crix. You remember?
Oh, yeah.
Only 1 unit of cats? Why?
In Moraine,
Yeah, what do you don't need more than one. Moraine can kill a colossal by herself. What do you need more than 1
True.
unit of cats for?
I've seen it. It happens.
she does have double archers. That's what her fun thing is.
Interesting.
Yeah, since this pose, I'll just tell you my list right now. It's Moraine, Eidolon, Gast, Bomber, Dices, Kruger, Double Commander, Double Sniper Team, Double Archers, Cav, Assassins, and Guardians.
If it had 2 cats, it would have been BM with all the other BM shit he's bringing. So, you know,
So the plan is apply mortality, apply guns, profit.
Yeah.
Gross.
Mm-hmm.
well, he's got the Duskalorian, so you know, at least that's fine. Is the Duskalorian going to be ready by this weekend?
I printed it and
Okay.
I built it today and I primed it. I'm going to reprint the top blimp again in a 0.2 nozzle instead of the 0.4.
Yeah,
Dude,
yeah, definitely point.
I ended up gluing one of the sides together like wrong, I guess, because like the Mandalorian symbol's upside down.
Love that. Love that.
But I have it.
It's not the Mandalorian symbol. It's the Duskalorian symbol. You can't call it the Mandalorian symbol.
Oh yeah, you're right. I can't anymore.
True.
But I have the original blimp. Will be in my bag if somebody has a thing. It's 40
Scrape the horns
pounds.
off it. Then it's not it's legally distinct.
Yeah.
All right, we got anything else we want to talk about? It's like 10 after 11 here. And
True, same.
unfortunately, I would like to go to sleep at some point. and
No,
also
no,
eat
you
dinner.
get it.
I
Kyle
don't
gets
want
keep
to
you
go
up
to sleep,
tonight.
but I also need to go to sleep.
I'm good. Is everyone else?
I think
Say
I'm
for
good.
once, Ice King is fine being awake.
Yeah.
True.
True.
I mean, it's only 8 p.m. for me, so
Okay.
Oh, it's like,
Oh,
I'll
must be nice,
I'll go to
man.
bed and let this run, and you can just solo talk for a few hours. I'll wake up and edit out the noise.
Yeah, it's a 24-hour stream actually. Got him.
It's just Mario reading through the entire Steamroller packet.
No,
like,
it's
the
him
cover
reading
cover.
children's
Over and
bedtime
over.
stories for 8 hours.
that's nobody wants
just
that
8
either.
It's just 8 hours of the Cat in the Hat with some really heinous shit somewhere in the middle.
Like stuff that would just like ruin my channel, but I had to go find it. Ugh.
At one point, Mario admits to a murder from 20 years ago.
Wait.
Whoa.
What have I done?
Then yeah, we can wrap this up. Thank you guys for joining me. Quick little go
Thanks
around the
for
table.
having me.
If you want to go through, tell people where they can find you.
Well, you can find us Arcane Precision on Facebook. We're doing a couple YouTube videos here and there, and we're posting on our podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Mario, go next.
Mario, you're next.
yeah. Sure. Thanks. My name's Mario. You can find me on Facebook. I don't have a Shoptalk Facebook page anymore, unfortunately. You can find me on Discord. I'm Mario on Discord as well. The podcast is called Shoptalk, a cross-section of a meta. We're on Automatic and on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts and all the different places that you can find podcasts.
And I'm Ryan. You can find BlightBringers on. We are on the More Than Dice Network. We have a Facebook page. Me and Nate are on the Discord all the time. Also, if you just have a cat and bring it out anywhere, I will probably appear within about 20 minutes. So that's
Love
the
that.
one way to get a hold of me.
It's a little terrifying. I like your superpowers though.
I love it. Yeah, I like it. Well, hey everybody,
I'm just-
thanks. Oh, sorry.
I
Go
was
ahead.
gonna say I'm just here for the cats. The rest of it is just tertiary. I'm just here to pet cats, man. That's all I'm here for.
Here comes one of our beautiful outros by Ross himself.
Hey everybody, thanks again for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you see Taylor at Captain Con, give him a big old hug. Say hey, come stop by, come talk to us. Other than that, have a fantastic day. Hope you have a great week. We'll see you next time. Love ya. Have a good one.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.